And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Otter Talk. Tonight we have the Draft League, our Draft League Otter Talk. With me is Cherry. She is the Cheezers ADC. Cherry, would you like to say hi?
Sorry, I was eating my Subway sandwich. Hello, everyone.
And Fallen, he's the jungler for the Colonels. Fallen, would you like to say hi?
What's good?
And as always, I am Noctisera, your play-by-play caster and host for Otter Talk for the Draft League. How's everyone doing tonight?
A good ass Subway sandwich. So
I
I'm
also
chilling.
had a good Subway sandwich earlier today.
Real. Well, I'm glad you guys are enjoying your sandwiches. Tonight, we are going to be talking a little bit about our matches, as well as the featured match. Should be very exciting this week. We have Wizards and Ronin, two of the top teams going into the Draft League. Had a lot of people very hyped up, both of which winning their Week 1 matches. So I'm hoping this is going to be an exciting match later tonight. Thoughts on this match? Any predictions for these specifically?
It should be close because both teams are like good. I know the I want the Ronin to win because they're cool. I know the Wizards ADC is like not a bad player, which is like definitely against the norm for a lot of people in the league. Do you remember who else is on the Wizards? I actually genuinely have no idea who else is on that team though.
Yeah, so the Wizards line up here. I will pull this up. There we go. Yeah, so the Wizards have Jolts in the top lane. Was supposed to be Sonic. Sonic did not show up. So
Okay, so they got an upgrade. Got it.
No, actual upgrade. Losing your captain was an upgrade. So we had Keep draft, so already a draft upgrade, and then a team upgrade. We have Jolts. We have Kathanas in the jungle. We have the Banana Man in mid lane. We have Master in as the bot laner and 21 as the support. That is the Wizards roster.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really know no one besides. The only reason I know the AD carry was because I played against him in Exibs, and he was like, I mean, he lost, but he was like not bad, you know. You play against someone and they like don't win, but you're just like, oh, you know, this guy is like has a brain and some hands. So I was proud of him. Good for him.
Nice.
As
Colin,
somebody
thoughts on
who
this one?
has used to, I used to play with Banana Man for a little bit, and regardless of that, I already have Wizards as, in my opinion, like top 2 teams of the league. So I'm definitely gonna go with them.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, so we should have arguments. If we want to move into it here, we can show our match predictions for all of Sapphire, actually. Seems that okay, so first match of the night. It seems like Fallen, you're the odd man out. I forgot to mention Chime is here in spirit, unfortunately could not join us in call for this one tonight, but does also have the Typhoons. Fallen, why do you think the Spades are winning here?
Whenever I was going through and looking at the teams, like trying to look at them each objectively, I just don't like what Typhoons ended up with. I just don't think it's going to work, and I feel like the results aren't going to match what looks like an okay draft. And I feel like this is the beginning of seeing that downward spiral.
All I know is that last week I played against the Typhoons and Icy Rain did unspeakable things to my skull, and I just assume he's going to do those same level of things to other people, because it'd be rude to only hate crime me and no one else.
Real. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's some very interesting things that are going to happen with Icy Rain and Ixie, but the rest of the team is not bad, and Abel and Chief are I'd say quite a serviceable bot lane. Maybe not the best in the league by any means.
Say that, but I'm glad that you do.
I'm trying to give Enable a little bit of credit here. And Chief has had his moments. I think a little bit inconsistent, but they have their moments. I really don't think that they're the worst. I think Typhoons, as far as consistency goes, can be a consistent middle of the pack good team. But I don't know, just based on what happened with Spades, I'm not seeing a whole lot come out of them. I think my ranking is based more on Spades not being
Yeah.
Which that's definitely a respectable perspective.
Yeah. For the second match, we have Valkyries and Cheezers. So I like that you guys both had faith in the Cheezers, and the only one that didn't was me, and now I feel bad.
No, it's okay. It's like I'm gonna lock in like some bullshit AD carry, and then we're gonna win anyway, and that's what's gonna happen. If I keep saying that, then eventually I will manifest it into reality, you know?
True. I mean, there's also the benefit. If Jason just doesn't show up tonight, you just win, right? Automatically by default. So
No, I think that's a buff for their team, actually. Like, I'm more worried without that guy there than with that guy there.
That's interesting. Maybe you guys just didn't get to experience the Garen moments from last season.
Yeah, I played against that guy's Garen in exhibitions. It was kind of laughable. I watched a clip when I was thinking like Yasuo AD carry or something. He had like 5 levels on me and he was terrified of me. I remember it was like sad to watch in retrospect. It's like secondhand cringe, you know, like I wasn't even there. This happened like a few hours before, but I just like felt it in my soul. Cannot imagine, you know, what it feels like to be on that team in that position.
Well, that's certainly a way to put it. I mean, some people scared of Dason, but if Dason is scared of you, I don't know. Maybe you got to give yourself a little bit more credit rather than shitting on Dason. But also, I don't blame you. Dason, point and foot player over there. Sometimes he'll run down your inhibitor at 15 minutes, and sometimes he's getting run down 5 levels below at 15 minutes. Just sort of depends on what you see. Seems like everyone seems to be in agreement on the Kittens and Gamblers matchup. Those tend to be a bit more of the obvious ones, I think, for a lot of people. Pretty rough matchups for the enemy team in both. The one that I do see is that you guys have different opinions on whether Wizards or Ronin are going to win.
Yeah, I mean, for Wizards, they have like one player that I have confidence in, and then for Ronin, they have like more players that I'm confident in. So it's just like a pure numbers game. I mean, that's like week 2. I have no idea who like most people are anyway, so I don't like take too much stock in any of it. But I'm just going based on like on my list of like players that I think aren't terrible, and I think like there's more in that category on the Ronin side than on the other side as of now.
Fair. Ballin, would you like to explain why you are the odd man out here? Why you think Wizards have a better chance of winning here?
I just don't have Ronin rated that highly overall. And while, they could prove my expectations wrong, I just think Wizards are going to be a very solid threat this season, and I think this is, going to be their second win on the board to showing that they're a dominant force in this league.
Interesting. I think no matter what, it probably will be close games. I don't expect it to be a stomp either way. But now we're going to get into Phone's bit more expertise. You are in this league, so we're going to move over to our Ruby match predictions for the week. Yeah. All right. Hold on. We're just getting that prepared for you. But Fallen, given sort of week 1 and how that went, do you have any particular feelings on any of the matchups you think might be upsets, or maybe things that you expect to see that maybe weren't expected in week 1?
I was a little disappointed we got to play Astronauts week 1. Like, I was hoping that would be a middle or further towards the end of the season thing. But because, as one of the people who, has won with Defoe in the past, it's always going to be butting heads with him, trying to contend for another championship.
Yeah, I mean, Astronauts have definitely, even in those last couple series, right? It was a very, as far as week 1 goes, it was a lot of content, very competitive for a week 1 game, especially since a lot of people did not have you guys winning that matchup. In addition, there were obviously some, we'll call them production issues, that led to some unfortunate timings in that third game. So hopefully you guys will be able to meet each other again and have an exciting match rather than just having that. Okay, so it looks okay. We are swapped over now. That's good. So it looks like most people are in agreement for the majority of these. Oh. Okay. Well, we had them. So for the first matchup, we had. Sorry, let me check this out. We had the Eagles and the Frogs. It seems like pretty much everyone put Frogs. I'm not that surprised about it. I don't think anyone's that surprised about it. Eagles, this is the same thing that happened last season, right? With Psycho's team is really amazing looking draft into not amazing looking play.
Me personally, I just have more faith in what Coach Pizza can cook up in the bot lane and walk through Psycho's bot lane. And that's just feels like if I was drafting for that team, you're already on the back foot before it's even started.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially like I think the Frogs were a lot of people had them very highly, but were like wondering, waiting to see how they played out. But given their week 1 standings and this matchup in week 2, I think it'd be. I don't think it's impossible for Eagles to win, but I think it would definitely be an upset in the minds of a lot of people. As far as matchup 2 goes, people, even though they lost week 1, people are very still big on the Astronauts hype train.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is that in terms of like this level of play, I will always trust Defoe on like his ability to draft a team that somehow wins either now or eventually. And looking at a Ruby League where I don't really know like a lot of the players, I tend to gravitate towards like the people that I have a lot of faith in, and with the frogs that's like Verja, and then with the astronauts it's like Defoe. I don't really see like, I think those players and their influence both like micro-wise and in comms should be enough for them to take a victory.
Like, for me, it's one of those things where it's like the mid pool in Ruby is, I would say, so poor. There's only like 2 people that I would say are even contend for best, and that would be Defoe and then Ethereal
Oh,
Ice.
chicken. Yep. Oh, okay.
Oh,
No,
Sadly,
removing
sadly, Chicken's not up there.
chicken. The boat chicken mid lane is unfortunately not on most people's radars. But yeah, I think the mid lane pool, especially for Ruby, was a little bit lower going into it. I think mid lane and top lane were some of the sort of harder to gets. I'd say, Arrow might not be the craziest, but I'd say is a little bit further up there. But yeah, I think in general for a lot of people, mid lane got taken out early. So having your captain be a consistent laner is definitely a benefit. And then the next matchup we had was the Wolves versus the Pickles. Speaking of Arrow, but yeah, I think a lot of people just have Wolves a bit higher in general.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, well, sorry, continue.
yeah, I have a lot of faith, as you alluded to. I have a lot of faith in Ethereal Ice to run everyone's pockets, and I assume she will just be running pockets in this matchup as well.
I mean, and a great thing that Ice does is she has her picks that she does really well on, and most people don't respect it or put bans towards it, and if you don't, she is going to exploit the mid lane, and then you are going to have a problem.
I'm so ready for the Evelyn mid run back. I see the vision.
Yup.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. That was definitely one of the more interesting things to watch, and I kind of hope it gets pulled out again. Because no matter what, it's always fun to cast. Here I seem to be the only one defending the Spuds. You guys both have the Predators as the win here. Would you like to tell me why?
For me, it's kind of just a toss-up. It seems like a very close match. I could see it going either way. I sort of lean towards the Predators because I think the Spuds roster seems like a roster that's a little more scaling. I expect more out of them like later in the season. Same, that's also like my thoughts on the final match with the Colonels versus the Gorillas, but I think like eventually the Spuds and the Colonels are gonna be like winning out in those matchups, but I think these look like rosters with personalities that may take a little more time to gel.
Fair. And yeah, speaking about that last one, you were the only one. I would love to see a Lizzo mukbang victory, but even the Colonel's already winning in week 1 and having seemingly coming in as one of the stronger rosters. I'm a bit surprised you put the Gorillas. So see that you have zero faith in your co-host here.
Oh, yo, my bad, gang. No, I think it's like an upset prediction. And it's also like I'm just going on very limited information, but I'm sort of just pulling for my boy Mr. Crackhead #energy to make something happen. I mean, I think the Colonels are a threat. I think there may be some growing pains with Mr. Krabadabadoo and the support. I mean, I think he's going off role is very tough. I think in terms of being a player, I think he's one of the strongest, if not the most competent players in the league. But playing a new role is obviously going to take some time, so I can anticipate there may be some hiccups on the way.
Colin, would you like to comment on that? I mean, you were in comms week 1, so I couldn't, I wasn't there. There were some obvious technical issues, so wasn't able to play with Giggle for the full match. But especially speaking on Crab, is there any thoughts on that?
I honestly, whenever Giggle told me what his plan was after picking me first, I was very skeptical. But then him and Crab have put the games in, they plan. I think they mesh pretty well together, a lot more than I would have expected. And I honestly don't think that there's any way that Lizzo and his team are going to be able to actually take a game or the series off of us.
Not even a game. Okay, confident there. Well, we'll definitely have to see. Should be coming up, soon. You got about half hour left until that happens. I will be rooting for you guys. I want you to know that. That being said, if Lizzo ends up taking a game off you guys, we'll be laughing at you next week. So we'll wait to see that.
Don't worry, I'll see it in banter. I know it'll be coming.
What
We'll
it's
see
worth, I am
so much
rooting for you
banter.
to be Lizzo, if that makes you feel any better.
Don't worry,
Because-
everybody is.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the team power rankings overall, and not just our matchups. We're gonna start off with Sapphire. Seems like most people I think have relatively similar matchups here, except for Fallen. You have Ronin a lot of ways down there.
Something just looking at their roster and the thought process behind drafts, it just I'm not convinced. I could be very much so wrong, but just something doesn't feel right.
Something doesn't feel right. Any specific player or just general vibes you're getting?
Just general vibes. Like I feel like you're taking pieces of different puzzles and trying to put them together.
That's fair. That's fair. I can't say that I agree. Obviously, I have them at my number 1 slot. I don't know if maybe I'm a little bit overhyping, but I do love Happier Cat. I love Dira, love Valka, love Zebra. I like a lot of these players, so maybe I'm just hoping that all of them just smashing them together makes something amazing. But yeah, I'm the only person that actually doesn't have Gamblers first. It seems like Gamblers seem to be the fan favorite here.
Love their like brand. I think they got like a Smurf draft because I think like CB Batman like Skullfox like most of the entire league. I also just love the branding. It's like I agree. Let's go gambling.
So gambling indeed. And yeah, Typhoons as well. Typhoons as well. So Fallen seems to have like an inverted list for a couple of these picks. Also very low on the Typhoons. Bit low and very high on the Cheesers, seems
Yeah,
like.
why do you have that? We fucking suck.
Again, I look at the draft and I look at the players and what they play, and I'm like, I've got some faith.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Now, could it be misguided? Absolutely.
yeah, I'm gonna lock in
But-
D3 fucking Gwen ADC and he's gonna then change the tune real quick.
Hey, here for a good time, not a long time.
I mean, I want to have faith. I want to have faith in Sherry. I want to have faith in Cryo and Less Force, and to a slightly lesser degree, Dueling Owl and Memer Sticks. I want to see the Fiddlestick support at some point. Although I feel like Sherry's probably gonna be vetoing and screaming at that in draft. But what do I know?
There's only room for like one person to be a terrorist and draft at a time, and usually I'm taking that slot. But never say never, you know?
Never say that. That's fair. That's fair. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up happening. But I do hope at least I get to see one stream game on the Fiddle support. We'll see if I'm given that or not. But yeah, it seems like Wizards and Gamblers seem to be the sort of 2 of the top 3 for pretty much everyone here. I think Cherry, you're the only one that has Wizards below a top 3 here. Typhoons over them, which you've already explained that you do like Typhoons, so I'm not that surprised. But is there any reason that you're not as high on Wizards in general?
I don't know like who their jungle mid are, like at all. I have like zero recollection of them as players. So I mean, I'm sure they like could be good, right? Like that's not like a branding of like a team as bad. I just genuinely have no clue. It's week 2. I don't pay attention to the shit I don't get paid to.
That's very real. Well, hopefully in the coming weeks, it'll be a bit more obvious and these will be a bit more fleshed out. We'll have a lot more to talk about. For right now, let's move on to our power rankings for the Ruby division. Here we have the shift here. Wow, absolutely no faith in Fallen and the Colonels. I after what I saw, I'm a lot more hype on them. And Fallen, you seem to have the astronauts in second place. Were they that challenged? Did you feel that big rivalry coming up?
I just don't see another team competing with us besides astronauts.
I like that. I like that confidence. That's very telling. I'm also hoping that you have the results to back that up, because if it is true, especially going into the midseason, I think it's going to be everyone looking to take down that confidence level a bit, and you guys trying to defend it. But it seems like also like I'm a lot higher on Spuds than the rest of you guys. Is that any specific reason? Just because I know a lot of their players, even last season, were contending for playoffs, but just not as high for the rest of you.
I think for me, when I look at this power ranking, it's like 1 to 10, but realistically, the way I see it, there's like a group of like bad teams, which I'd say is like the bottom 3, and to an extent the bottom 4. I mean, I don't really know. I think there's like some flexibility between 3 and 4, and then there's like a group of teams that are just above them, all in like no real specific order. I mean, there's like a little bit of an order, but it's like teams that are probably fine, sort of how I see it. So I mean, I don't think it's worth focusing on the minutia and the rankings. I mean, I have, I mean, the Gorillas, the Spuds, the Colonels, and the Predators all sort of in like the same block, because I don't really know. We'll see.
For me-
My opinion is very fluid and able to be changed in these early weeks.
For me, it's more so that Spuds is one of those teams that whenever I see them, I think this is definitely a coin flip team. They can beat teams that are better than them, but they could also lose to teams that are worse than them, all depending on the day.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the consistency can definitely not be there sometimes casting them last season, but also a lot of the players just seem to love the coin flip angles. I'm hopefully maybe I am a gambler at heart. Maybe I am just hoping that they come up heads more than they come up tails. But I think the big one here is that I was a bit higher on Shrooms, but a lot of people do not seem to be as high on Shrooms as a team.
Much as I wish I would be high on Shrooms, not really seeing much potential there. I mean, they did upset. I feel like coming into the draft, I saw a lot about how they were like, the worst draft ever, and they clearly like proved the doubters wrong. I mean, it is still like just one match, so they do have the potential to still be terrible, but they're clearly like not as 0-9, not winning a single thing, terrible as a lot of people did think before. So again, not high on Shrooms yet, sort of hoping to make that happen in the future. We'll see.
Walked right into that one. And yeah, it seems like though for most people, Pickles, Eagles, and dude, I mean, you have the Gorillas a lot higher, but Pickles and Eagles seem to be a lot of people's sort of bottom teams filling out the bottom half of that. I'll ask Fawn because you're in the league with them. Any real reason? I mean, I know why I have them there, but any reason you don't have Eagles higher? I mean, in theory, their draft looks quite good.
I don't. I know Psycho probably had a vision whenever he's making this draft. I don't see it. I don't know what direction he was looking. And if I can't get anywhere close to seeing how the team is supposed to work out, I just don't have any faith. And I can't even put you middle of the pack if I don't even see how you're gonna win.
I think that's a relatively fair assessment of how the team has been playing out. I mean, I know the individual players aren't that bad, but that's sort of the same thing that happened last season, and that's how it turned out. I think a lot of people the drafts always look decent from Psycho Ghost, but it's always a very coin flippy answer on whether that team's actually going to perform. And so far, we just haven't seen it. Week 1, but even last season, and maybe even these coming weeks. So they already have a rough couple matchups for the first couple weeks. So it might take a while for them to prove themselves. And Gorilla's not you don't believe in the Lizzo mukbang team, it seems like.
Absolutely not.
I think
Do you
morally
not believe
he's
in
correct for
miracles?
not believing. I think higher
Well-
him as a person because he doesn't believe.
I believe in miracles. I don't know if I believe in Lizzo.
Wow. Well, I can't say I blame you. But do you at least believe in the boat chicken?
I don't know. What chicken are we getting tonight?
Let's call it rotisserie.
I don't know, man. No, if you said fried, we might have had a different story.
No, fried chicken is what happens every time boat chicken has to play against a foe.
God,
Uh,
violent.
Violent. Well, hey. Eventually he'll have to contend with that. But for right now, we're just gonna have to see how these matches play out. In about 15 minutes or so, these games will be starting up very shortly. We will be right back with you. As for right now, I've been Noctisera. Joining me has been Chelsea and Fallen, and of course Wookie Monster as our producer. Don't go anywhere. We should have you right back with the mainstream as well as Draft League and Blue Water League 2 on Twitch in about 15 minutes at 8 p.m. Join us then. Tonight's streamed match, we have the Wizards versus the Ronins. It will be a very entertaining one, no matter who wins.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Keep moving on. Keep moving on. And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Blue Otter Draft League. Tonight we have the Wizards versus the Ronins. Should be a very exciting matchup. With me is Manatsu Plays, of course, in the casting booth. Say hi.
Hello.
And on production is Wookie Monster, who hasn't been able to produce, unfortunately, for the last couple weeks, but is back for one night only before the hurricane hits because he's an absolute crazy person. thank you so much for producing for us, even though Hurricane is on your way, and stay safe. For right now, Manatsu, any thoughts, any predictions on this one?
I think it's a little bit harder. There's some names here that are unfamiliar to me. I'm not sure if they actually appeared in last season. I mean, I should know because I did some content in magazines for stats, but none of the names or some of the names are familiar, but not most. How about your side, Dr. Sarah?
I mean, I personally have Ronin's a bit higher on this one, but I think it should be close. I do not have either team running away with a 2-0 victory here, and I'd be shocked if we do end up seeing one. For me personally, I think it's just because of week one, and I recognize a bit more of the rosters and have seen a lot out of these rosters. But I know a lot of people have Wizards quite highly. It was very interesting too. Keeb was actually the one drafting for Wizards, given that they lost their captains, and it seems to have only been an upgrade. To getting Jolts is actually a quite a good sub, I'd say, as far as having to do that. And in addition, you get the benefit of not having to deal with the Sonic the Rock coin flip. So should be interesting. But we are about to get into draft. It seems like we have some bans coming out. Ivern, Nico so far for the Wizards, and Ronin banning out the Viego and the Scion. So speaking of Jolts, has been grinding a bit of that Scion recently, so just banning that out. They clearly do not want to deal with that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's an interesting ban. It's not really a meta pick at the moment. I can see the Nico, the Ivern, and we see the Skarner coming in, and the Viego, but Scion kind of popped out for me. So it's interesting to know that it is like a very player-specific target ban.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, so is Viego, right? Katana's pretty much that Viego one trick has nothing but Viego in most of his match histories, at least on his main account, so not that surprised to end up seeing that. But we do see the Skarner banned out, and the Poppy answered back, so yeah, I'm not super surprised there. Skarner is one of those sort of B1 tank junglers that we end up seeing a lot of right now, and the Poppy is a very good flex pick. Can see play in jungle, support, top lane, and is very good against a lot of those dashy mobility type champions.
Yeah,
It's like the brand is locked in first.
Yeah, I'm interested to note if it's going to be a mid or jungle brand. I'd assume it'd be mid. I think I see a lot more presence there. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it got flexed to the jungle or keep that flex up, especially since the Wizards are on the blue side.
Yeah, and it looks like a bit of delay here, a bit for the pictures, but there it is. We do see the Zeri locked in for the Ronin. Very good hyper carry, has been very good as of late. Still very good as of late in this hyper carry meta. Static Shave, you got your Runans, comes online a bit earlier than it used to. You used to take 3 full items. Now you have a bit of a stronger spike on 2, but still when you get to 3 items, you are very, very hard to take care of. And the Vi as well, so also one of those priority jungle picks that we end up seeing lots of easy single target access.
Yeah, we'll see what they follow up here. I think at this point with the Ronin's jungle kind of appearing, we'll see if they elect to showcase their jungle and kind of show that Brand might be mid, or maybe Brand might be going bot, you know. There's a lot of options here for Wizards. They do elect to select Xayah, revealing that it is their 80 pick. Again, though, Brand can be flexed, you know, pretty much jungle, mid, and even support, although I doubt it will go down to support, as we see the Rakan getting locked in here.
Yeah, and the Xayah Rakan, obviously one of those classic duos there. Yeah, so Xayah and Rakan, one of those classic duos that we end up seeing a lot. Very good, sort of not super early game, not super late game, not hard engage, not super peel. Very, very well-rounded bot lane. They tend to be very flexible together. And we see the Nautilus come out for this area. So this is something we have been seeing a bit more recently in this last season and a half, rather than beforehand, where Zeri actually swaps to more of an engaged support. You end up running this tank line, and you try and set Zeri in one of those side lanes to just sit there and farm alone, get solo XP, while you have that tank line sort of roaming around, trying to help out around the rest of the map. As well, Zeri is one of those champs that I think a lot of people don't realize is actually quite good at dealing with early engages and early fights. So not super surprised, but very aggressive so far from the Ronin, especially maybe towards those middling objective fights. I'd say Grubs are definitely something you want to sort of keep an eye on.
Yeah, we do see Gragas and Dr. Mundo banned out here. It's interesting to see what Ronin elect to do, because right now they have two really big engage units in the Vi and the Nautilus. Not much disengage, right? I think the brand actually favors a comp like Ronin's, and so I'm hoping that they kind of uh, have like a plan in place in case they do want to disengage, as we do see the Gwen ban coming in.
Yeah, another Gwen ban. Gwen also strong, has, I don't know if you've seen it a lot yet, but there's a bit more of this there's like this electrocute
Okay.
going, like this Lichbane electrocute Storm Surge burst Gwen going around that has been picking up popularity that I've been seeing a bit more of, but we'll see. I know some people think it's a meme, some people think that it's legitimate, but it has been picking up and has quite a high win rate in Emerald Plus, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that one banned out, especially since they already have a good setup. But right now we're gonna see what comes in on the R4. It should be, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Should
No,
be
R4.
R4. I just the way the draft hovers, sort of the look is a bit strange, but it's going to be the Akali locked in. Okay, so very aggressive comp so far coming out of the Ronins. They want to play hard. They want to play fast.
Yeah, the Akali is very interesting. I think that's actually telling Wizards that they're gonna assume it's a brand mid. They can assassinate you, kill you really fast. I want to see how Wizards respond here. They have the Renekton locked in. I mean, great blind pick. They do need some beefy tank. And finally, we'll see that last pick that kind of dictates whether this brand goes mid or jungle.
Yeah, and I think the big thing too is Renekton, also one of the best sort of stun bots in the game, right? Gives you really great target access to that Zeri in the backline, someone that is going to just be moving around at Mach 10 if you're not able to deal with it. But if you're able to get onto it with that Renekton stun, gives really great follow-up for that Rakan, possible brand, and lots of good follow-up CC and damage. But for the mid lane, not mid lane, we are going to see, it is going to be the brand mid lane, I assume, in the Hecarim jungle. Could be some strange shenanigans, the Heck Renekton solo lanes, but I highly doubt that. Renekton, very good as a jungler here, also follows up with that damage quite well and can gank a lot, and we are just going to see the Malphite locked in for the Ronin top lane. So yeah, still maintaining that very aggressive line, wants to go in, but going to be very strong into the Hecarim Renekton top side, going to be able to stack that armor up, and well, it is going to be quite vulnerable to the brand. I think the fact that you're going to be able to dissuade any possible like early like Renekton Hecarim dives is going to be a massive upside.
Yeah. Now that we have both comps, who are you favoring here?
Given what we see a lot of in draft leagues, I'd say probably Ronin is a little bit easier to pull off. This seems to be a very
fully agree with you there.
Go in deathball comp, but I think Wizards, when played in the right hands, definitely has a bit of a higher cap. So we'll see if they're able to pull that off, because they have a bit of a longer engage. They have the ability to sort of really start fights off as well as peel back, whereas Ronins have a lot more of a do one thing and do one thing very well game plan. And if they're not able to pull that off, they don't really have a lot of flexibility. So they could get run over quite easily if things don't go their way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think on the side of Ronin, you have engaged tools like the Malphite ult, the Vi ult, and the Nautilus ult. But if you don't kill the Xayah or the Brand, and at this point it's probably the Brand, because Xayah can just ult out in any of these CCs. Like, Brand just needs to ult and use his E to kind of do damage, and then if it dies, it dies. But on the other hand, you can't really say the same for Akali or Zeri, because the moment they die, I think they lack a lot of damage on the side of Ronin.
Yeah, Ronin definitely seems to have a bit of a damage issue, especially, I'd say, even if like the Akali is still live, when you have things like that Renekton that's able to survive so long and even with Hecarim and Rakan sort of able to keep tagging out, absorbing some of that damage, I'd say you're definitely going to struggle with the damage if your Zeri goes down in these fights, right? Hecarim, obviously more of a bruiser, but can definitely tack into those sort of Black Cleaver and HP-oriented bruiser items in the late game. And Renekton is one of those sort of champions that I've always said is not less of a bruiser and more of a tank that builds bruiser items, right? You end up building into that sort of Stride Cleaver core, but you end up going tank items, 3rd, 4th, and even Sterak's Gauge, so you end up having a lot of that HP tankiness shielding. You're able to absorb a lot in that early and late game, so you tend to be very hard to kill, especially if you're able to get a lot of healing off that Empowered Q, if you have that Rakan backing you up, so we'll see. But for right now, I think we're going to cut it to a short break. When we come back, we will have Game 1 of the Ronins and the Wizards. Don't go anywhere.
moving on. Keep moving on. And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Blue Otter Draft League. This week we have the Sapphire division. Wizards versus Ronins, both teams that came out of the gate swinging, both very big fan favorites. Should be a hype matchup.
Yeah, I think off the bat we're seeing here a classic 5-point start. I do want to note here that the brand did elect to go Dark Harvest instead of the usual Comet or Airy, which is a little bit surprising, but I think maybe considering that Dekali's going to go Dorn Shield and the poke damage is not going to be worth that much, we'll see if the aggressive nature of that rune pays off later in the game.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we do see the potential for lots of early fights, especially on the roam up around Grubs. We have that top side for Necton and Hecarim. So probably a lot of fighting around those early objectives. So I'd imagine we do get a number of procs on that, hopefully to stack it up early and often. But yeah, I guess, yeah, you're probably right. Just assuming that that poke is not going to be as big of a deal, that Happier Cat, is definitely going to go for that Dorn Shield, but also, maybe like a fleet. But no, Happier Cat actually going for the Electrocute over the fleet in this lane. So maybe a lot of mind games going on there, or both maybe just trying to stick to their own burst game plan, not really caring about the other.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the Hecarim and Vi go in terms of their priorities. I think if I were on either side, I would like to get top ahead first, is what I'm thinking. At least on the side of Renekton. And I think Malphite, you can kind of just leave them there, and then the Vi can focus on getting the Zeri ahead.
Yeah, I mean, right now we do see both of them clearing top spot, so very interesting play actually to see the Hecarim start on that blue side and path bot, so maybe wanting to get a counter gank off early, or maybe a early fight in the bot or mid lane, since they're matching, right? That's not usually something you see. Usually you see that Hecarim starting towards that red and pathing towards the blue, no matter what side it's on, and then potentially going for like an early scuttle or top mid fight.
Yeah. I think overall it seems like no one's going for any risky big plays. We did see in the bot lane, the Wizards bot side getting the level 2 advantage first, but not really amounting to much as Ronin was able to get level 2 as well. Besides that, the other two lanes are pushing in the favor of the Wizards. And we'll see what Vi does here.
Yeah, nice little early trade there from Happier Cat as well, getting a lot of good early damage onto that Renekton. Very useful, especially because you have that Vi. Like, if you're able to get a lot of those good trades early, you can bring Vi in, force a flash, potentially get a kill anyway. And I'd say it's much, if you're having a gank, it's much more, the trades are much more favored towards that Akali being able to get those aggressive trades. If your jungler is not coming in, it is much more favored to the Brand, who's going to be able to poke you out and really use that low HP value to proc that Dark Harvest and get a lot of early potential solo kill.
Yeah, it's important to note here that the Wizards bot lane did ward that tri-push really early, and they might pincer the Hecarim here.
Yeah, caught out already, but Kathanas is not actually the one on the back end. Dira forced to flash, uses that dredge line to get out towards the wall, but Kathanas just running it down. Pretty much no cooldown on that Q. A good knockup from 21. It's going to be first blood. Give it over to Master now back in the mid lane. It's Zebra trying to get out there. Happier Cat backing up his mid laner, but yeah, I thought they had the pincer maneuver on that Hecarim, but just not respecting it. Loiten did not have the priority that they thought they had. Saw Master and 21 roaming, wasn't quite able to go over the wall, so they thought they had that priority, ended up being a bit wrong and got punished for it.
Yeah, it seems to be like a slight miscommunication there, because I think the wave was pretty even, but it looks like we have some action here in the mid lane.
Yeah, again, coming in now from Zebra, but forced to back off is really good damage coming out from the Banana Man there. Full combo onto that Akali early on is very, very dangerous, especially when you're proccing that Dark Harvest, so goes on cooldown now for the next time he comes back, but still very, very threatening. If Happier Cat is not able to take it back here, puts himself in a vulnerable spot, this wave should slow shove back into the Banana Man at some point, so gotta maintain that wave, gotta be careful with how you're playing that out.
Yeah, I know we've talked a lot about the jungle and the bot lane here, but already 5 minutes in, and Loose Lucky already up to at least 20 CS against this Malphite.
Yeah, a little bit more actually. Looking at 26 right now, which is an absolute insane number, right? We knew that Renekton was going to be going hard, but we didn't realize it was going to be that strong now. Gank in the mid lane from Zebra, and knocked back into the tower by Kathanas. Forced to flash out. Kathanas chasing forward. Doesn't have the ghost anymore, but he doesn't need it. That phase rush gives him so much movement speed, and is going to be a really nice counter gank there. A little bit over aggressive there from Zebra, thinking he had the gank on the Banana Man. And even if he did that, it did have that damage. Didn't even force out a flash. Didn't force out really anything. He still has the TP, all summoners, and dies for it.
Yeah, I think Zebra need to be a little less aggressive there. I think tracking this Hecarim is going to be a huge problem and priority now for Ronin, as you don't really want that jungler to be ahead. Yeah, and then kudos to the Banana Man for holding that flash. Didn't really need to, and I think that's another Dark Harvest stack for the Brand.
Yeah, I think we'll have to check at some point, but really, really great plays there. And not having to use any of the summoners is a really big thing. Forcing the TP out again from Happier Cat because you already answered that back, and you're still on the back foot, right? So, very happy there. The bright side here is that your bot lane is, despite being down a kill, is farming very, very well. So while you did get punished for that early on, the Xayah is up that kill. You have a really good wave state. You're up CS, your bot laner is doing quite well, able to play that out. But as I say that, okay. Just going to back off there. Sees 21, doesn't want to risk anything, but this is what I was talking about with these grubs, right? Early on, you just have so much priority towards that top side that there's really no way to contest it. So Ronin are just going to accept that fact, realize that there's really nothing they can do about it, and go for an early drag stacking, right? That's something that we've seen a lot from teams across leagues and pro play and pretty much everything, right? Is looking for that cross map angle, right? One team gets a drag, the first drag, maybe the first two, depending on how it goes. The other team gets those 6 grubs unless they decide to fight it, and those typically end up being very large team fights. Whichever team ends up winning that sort of void grub fight, if they do decide to contest, ends up taking the entire early game and starting to put the other team on the back foot, right? Gets a lot of that priority, so we'll see that in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, good on Kathanas though. Knowing that Vi and the rest of Ronin were working on that drag, he did go top side and take not only the red buff, but also the Raptors, and now he's working on blue buff ahead, even in CS at the moment, but I think the tempo heavily favors the Wizards here.
Yeah, definitely. I would say so. You have that Hecarim already up a kill and an assist. You already have your bot laner up a kill, down a little bit of CS, but not that big of a deal. But as I say that, Loose Lucky going for the 1v1 on the top side onto Valka, but Zebra is here to back it up. Does have that ultimate. The Unstoppable Force comes out. The cease and desist as well. needs to be locked in there, and the Renekton will be taken up.
Wow.
Valka Fenrika with the fadeaway E, Loose Lucky using the flash there, but dying anyway. Needed to buffer that a bit earlier, but just did not have the timing. Up 18 CS, but now down a kill thanks to an early gank from Zebra there. So, yeah, like you said, Zebra is going to have to try and find these plays. Going to be able to find something out there, but it's going to be able to do that quite well. Now in the mid lane, Happier Cat going for the 1v1 on the Banana Man. Lands the E. Perfect execution comes out, but the damage isn't quite enough. The stun comes out, and Kathanas picks up another kill.
Yeah, I think, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but was Zebra level 6 there when he was ganking top, or did he turn level 6 when one of the minions died? Because I don't think I saw ult
No,
being
I
available.
believe he was level 6. I mean, it might have been, but he certainly, well, he certainly used a cease and desist at some point, right? That extended knockup, so. But I believe he had it when going, but he might not have. I'm not 100% certain. Either way.
Okay. At that point, then, Lucky with a disrespectful flash, too late then.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, though, Katana's doing quite well over there on the Hecarim. Gets another gank off. Up. Did a little bit of chunk of CS, but the XP is also looking good, I'd say. The biggest thing right now is that we're looking, right? We have this Dragon up in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Have the Void Grubs spawning relatively soon as well, so have to be careful. Katana's speeding up, looking for a possible gank in the bot side. 21 over the wall, using that charm onto 2. Kathanas needs to try and find this ult, but doesn't quite have enough movement speed to chase the rest of it out. Really nice quickening there from 21. Even using the flash to try and get, but Louis 10 just forced to use the barrier and back off. Kathanas still here. Is spotted on the ward, but Dira's going to get very aggressive. They think they have the Vi backup, but not enough respect being shown there. We use the Thunder Crash. The lighting comes out, but not enough damage coming through. Actually missed onto 2. Zebra's still here, and Happier Cat on the way down, but they don't want to go for anything extra. Little bit of an overextension there from Dira. Thought maybe they had Zebra or that Kathanas had backed already. Maybe the ward didn't catch him all the way down there.
No,
They didn't realize.
definitely not. Yeah, I think they had some false confidence there, seeing Kathanas kind of pathing through that try, and since the red ward there didn't pick him up, they kind of just assumed, hey, we can actually engage now.
Yeah, not great there from Dira, thinking that they had that extension. And even if they did, I would imagine you're already a bit behind, already a PS sword on that Xayah. I don't even know if you win that, even if Kathanas isn't there. So, bit over-aggressive there. Now, Zebra in the mid lane. Banana Man just walking it out. Really nice there. I think if you do... I was about to say, if you land that Vault Breaker, I think you maybe force out the flash, but without landing it, you just get nothing, right? But now we see both teams walking up. Could be a fight here. I will say 21 is not here quite yet, and a really nice hook from Dira now. Jumping in, Happier Cat looking for the early pick onto Banana Man. They managed to find it, but now Dira's going in. Katana's going in. Loose Lucky with a huge Q. Lots of damage onto everyone. It's going to be a shutdown right now. 21 over out. And Happier Cat with the perfect execution out. Loose Lucky looking for the stun. Manages to find Dira. Needs to try and chase out a little bit more. Happier Cat Zebra is still very low on the run. Valka kiting out towards that top side. And 2 for 1 is not the greatest play, but they do force off of the grubs that they're going to try and pick up the rest of it. So it is a bit unfortunate that they aren't going to be able to get that full 6 grub mark. Ronin were able to take 1, but losing the fight, even with the numbers advantage on the rest of it. Really nice from Kathanas and Loose Lucky there. That even when they realized their mid laner couldn't be saved, they were able to return so much damage.
Yeah, a little bit of an aggressive pathing there from the Banana Man, knowing that his jungler and support were coming from the top side. Still elected to go in a chokehold in that warded brush, and got absolutely collapsed on by Dira and by Zebra. But fortunately for them, the gold is mostly on this Hecarim, and so was able to get some revenge kills there and take the 5 grips for themselves.
Yeah, and interesting to note, there is no cease and desist and no perfect execution up right now for the Ronin. So even though Kathanas does not have that ensemble charge, it's going to be really nice because you have all this ult advantage. It's going to be very hard for Ronin to fight their way in, and they're just not even going to try. They're just going to give that up. And rather than drag stacking, they're giving over 5 grubs and the second drag, which is very, very dangerous position to be in.
Yeah, we see the Brand also used his ult there to be a little aggressive and gets the stun
there.
here.
The E-proc, the burn is there. One more auto should do it. Is the burn going to be enough? Dorn Shield taking the regen and barely not over there at 1 HP. Now Louis 10 going in the mid lane. Dira flashing forward, lands that death charge up, trying to give that kill over to their ADC, and they will get it. The Banana Man going for it. thought he might have had that early solo kill, and it was looking good, but the burn just barely not enough to take out Happier Cat. Witten with the kill there, and now Happier Cat TPing into the bot side, though. Has to be careful. 21 and Master both have ults, so have to be a bit careful under this tower. Has used that Shroud now, that Twilight Shroud, so if they're able to get an extra wave in there without the backup, could go for a dive, but Deer is down here, and they are going to see him, so knowing that they're no longer going to be able to get that dive off.
Yeah, we have 30 seconds left for the storage plates. I think Renekton's trying to go for another plate, but we do see the teleport being used on this Malphite.
Yeah, and Zebra going in is spotted on the ward. Loose Lucky does have that flash, trying to dash out, looking for a little bit of a return, but buying some time for Kathanas, trying to get a little bit more, needs the heal, but he isn't going to be able to get the Q. Kathanas has to be careful now, but the Vault Breaker lands, doesn't have the Cease and Desist anymore, doesn't have the Unstoppable Force anymore. The damage is not quite going to be enough, but a 1-for-0 in the top side, now back in the mid lane. Perfect execution comes out from Happier Cat, looking for the extra damage. Nice little root there from Dira, the Banana Man, trying to kite it out, trying to get this burn, trying to find anything, and the dredge line goes wide.
Whoa.
The Ignite comes out, but it's not going to be enough. Dira still chasing down. They want more. They want to find the Banana Man, but 21 is here. They're going to be able to land the knockup, and the Banana Man's actually going to be the one that picks up the kill. The quickness now coming out. The charm onto Happier Cat. The exhaust as well, looking for the solo kill. The damage down. Leighton going over the wall, flashing forward, is able to take out that brand. Now Happier Cat has to be careful. 21 getting chased down with the damage, but Master has finally joined the fight. Zebra's here to try and back it up, but the root comes out. The unstoppable charge. Master with the kill. Kathanas now chasing down Zebra. Doesn't have the flash. Does have that Vault Breaker, but it's not going to be enough. 21 takes an extra tower shot. We'll see if Happier Cat wants to go in. Wanted that kill, but isn't going to be able to go in to get that rest of the damage. Not going to try and risk it. Not going to want that kill. Really nice plays there from the Wizards. What looked like a really terrible opener turned right back around.
Yeah, lots of blow for blows here in the mid lane. Lots of ults and summoners being spent on. We see here as Masters going for the middle turret, but Analysis is here. It's important to note that that Zeri did use Flash to secure the kill onto the brand, and that's going to be a huge summoner to look at as Herald has already spawned. We'll see if Wizards do go towards that area. We don't see really much rewards on there. And I think if I were the Wizards, I'd be pretty happy where I'm at in this state of the game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you definitely are right. I think you definitely look over towards that Herald. You can already see Kathanas backing, probably going to path towards that top side. The Banana Man and Happier Cat, so we have both mids rotated down to the bot side. With that Herald fight up, we have both bot lanes in mid lane, so I think we are expecting to see a fight onto that Herald relatively soon. The wave clear, a little bit in favor of that Zeri right now that she has the static shiv, but answered pretty easily by Xayah and those feathers, so has to be careful. They're going for vision now. Just trying to fight around something. You can see Loose Lucky looking for a bit of a trade, but went for that Eclipse rather than going for the Stride Breaker type build, so definitely wants to, I think, go for the jumps onto there, but 21 jumped on by Zebra. The Vault Breaker not going to find anything more. Deer's not quite in position to follow up on that, and yeah, Kathanas, you can see they're already going for it. That Herald coming up, and you can see the Banana Man rotating up to cover mid as well as they try and rotate over, so we'll see if they're just going to have Happier Cat come in with he doesn't have the TP actually, so just going to be forced to push. If they want to fight this, it will be a 4v5 with Happier Cat not there.
They don't have a vision on it either.
Up Zebra. Sees you can see him just charging up that Vault Breaker over and over again to maybe get in, but without any real way to contest. They don't even try and trade, right? They don't rotate their ADC down. They don't rotate anyone down to help Happier Cat get that tower. They just give up that entire Herald. And it's debatable whether Happier Cat is actually able to get this turret or not. They are going to start rotating back down for it. Kathanas should be there shortly, and no, they're not going to be able to get it. They are able to get the tower on the top side, though, so a little bit of trade, but still not ideal.
Yeah, I'm very surprised they didn't push for that mid first turret down. That mid turret was really close. They just had to kind of walk up minions. There's no reason for the set of Ronin to engage on them with Malphite being top, Akali being bot, but
I think they didn't want to take any risk because they're already on a lot of gold, and you can see the dragon just spawned. It's going to go for that Chemtech soul, so probably want to just be here to fight that out as soon as possible. And you can see Loose Lucky as well rotating down, so probably want to go for a team fight here as well. Kathanas going to be dropping that Herald in the mid lane, so they definitely want to look for a fight here.
Yeah, it's also important to know where the wards are for Malphite to teleport because he is electing to stay top.
Yeah, a little bit of trades of CC there by the junglers, but it's going to be an early engage there from the Ronin that started out. Loose Lucky now finally there, needs to find Luiten, and they are going to be able to find the perfect execution onto the Banana Man, and it's a 2-4-1 so far, but without any ADC, they might run into that damage issue, like you said. The ult's already on to Master, though. Happier Cat going for it, the flash forward, and it's not going to land the full Blade Collar out. Now it's just Loose Lucky and 21 against the world, trying to find a little bit of extra damage there, but a really nice ult from Malphite took out their main carries. Loose Lucky now with the stun on the Zebra trying to find it, but Happier Cat goes in. Doesn't have the perfect execution anymore, but doesn't need it. Valkyrie Rika picks up the kill on 21, and now Loose Lucky is left to run for the hills. That Vault Break comes out, the damage comes out. Those shurikens are going wide, and just a little bit more, that 5-point strike finishing off Loose Lucky. It's going to be Happier Cat with another kill, going crazy in that team fight. Same with the Malphite, 4-0 and 3 on her main tank is just running them down, and Master wasn't able to react to that unstoppable force in time. Still had the ult, still had the flash, but uses both too late, and that ends up being the fight in favor of the Ronin.
Yeah, that's surprising too, knowing that the Tri Brush over there is warded for the Wizards. I guess it's just a little bit of a heat of the moment with a lot of things going on. I think there's a lot of little miscommunication and setup issues in that fight, because it appeared that the Wizards were working on the Dragon, and I believe they started to engage. And I think that's one of the issues with Wizards comp, right? So if Cathonis wants to go in with a Hecarim ult, there's not really much of a gap closer for Brand or Xayah or Rakan. The moment Hecarim ults in, and if it's too far, it takes a bit of time. And we saw it there, because I think Cathonis was the first one to fall.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was more because they used the dash in as the same time as Zebra used that Vault Breaker. They sort of knocked into each other, and there was just a little bit more follow-up. Dira was already ready with that dredge line and that ultimate. Same with the cease and desist before Hecarim had a chance to use that ult to react to it. So died, didn't die with the ult up, finally used it, but was so low at that point that it really didn't do anything, right? And the idea is that Cathonis is able to ult in, and Loose Lucky or 21's able to follow up, and the Banana Man Master can just sort of free hit onto the enemy front line as they're fear back in. But yeah, without any real follow-up, the Banana Man wasn't there. Loose Lucky was still running in. They only had that bot lane and jungler core, but Ronin were already ready with 4 people there. So while they didn't have the full 4v5, it would have been a 4v5 if they had just waited a little bit longer. They just sort of jumped that gun a little bit too early.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to note how the Wizards kind of set up their future fights, right? Because at this point, Ronin are definitely in the driver's seat. I know Gold is pretty even, but momentum-wise is definitely on their side, as they won that big fight and got Dragon as a result of that.
Yeah, and it's just one tower for one tower so far, right? That Herald did get a second charge in the mid lane, but only taking out the mid-tier 1. Top tier 1 already taken out for the Ronin, right? So it's relatively even. They have to defend their mid-tier 1 now, so there's not a huge gold advantage, but even so, up 1 Dragon, even if you are down a little bit of those grubs, they don't have that Herald anymore, so they don't have a lot of ways to force back Prio. The Wizards need to sort of find some fight angle, find some way to go in, but it's going to be really hard, especially with how tanky Valkyrie is right now. You need to get that extra armor pen onto that Xayah. You need to get more items onto this Brand if you want to be able to take him out, and that Akali is just so threatening the whole time.
Yeah, it looks like they're giving up mid tower here too. I don't know what the Xayah was doing. Xayah's the only wave clear option right now for mid lane. I think, if I was not mistaken, she was working on the Raptors.
Yeah, just trying to farm up a little bit, and you can see giving over as much farm as possible to that Xayah is definitely going to be necessary. You're going to need to get that Lord Doms, that Moral Reminder, some form of that Last Whisper item as soon as possible, so you can start cutting through, start getting this pen onto that Malphite, because if you're not able, you can already see the Renekton is just able to get nothing. Cathona's finally up here. They're going to see if they can finally get a little bit of extra damage, but the knockup comes out from Valka. Doesn't have flash anymore, but now that the Hecarim has arrived, they will have the damage. They will be able to take the shutdown onto that Malphite, but it's going to be Luiten over the wall. Zebra going forward with the cease and desist. Luiten not even going to be using the ult here, just taking the kill, and the TP might be late. The Banana Man goes in, has to flash out immediately. Kathanas, though, is still here, looking for an extra fight. 21 with the quickness onto 2. The knockup and the charm is good. Now backing up with the fear, the unstoppable onslaught onto Luiten, who tries to go over the wall, but it's not going to be enough. The double burn for Brand leads into a double kill. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Happy Cat just happy to take that tower, but that might be the Baron for his hubris. Can TP in at some point, but I doubt there's even going to be an attempt at that. Valkyrie Van Rika, though, is up in 5. if they're able to get vision, they might be able to see that this is a TPable fight, but it's really hard, right? No top laners, they're just gonna be able to 4v5 this, take it out, no stopping them right now, and Wizards find their way back into the game with that amazing fight into Baron.
Yeah, a little miscommunication there from the side of Ronin. They saw Brand ulting in the middle of 3 as Brand flashed away from them. The Vi did go forwards towards the Brand. Meanwhile, the Nautilus and the Zeri did walk backwards. And that big enough of gap did cause a series of events that were unfortunate for the Ronin. We see the Wizards take Baron, but it's also important to note that they did not wait 2 seconds for the Renekton to get that Baron buff. I don't think it'll make that big of a difference, but it does remove one of their split push options as win con.
Yeah, and we do see the drag now coming up in 5 minutes. Ronin are first there with the priority, but you have to remember, you have all of these Baron buffs now on the Wizards. It seems like Kathanas doesn't have it. I don't know if that's a bit of a visual issue. I think he was there for the taking, so we'll see. Yeah, it does have the hand of Baron. It looks like it was just a bit of a visual issue. So yeah, 4 Barons for their Wizards, but the Ronin do still have quite a good team fight if they're able to get this off. 21 popping the speed. Zebra going in, but isn't able to find anything. The Season now comes out, but the Unstoppable Onslaught isn't good onto 2. Happier Cat trying to get that perfect execution, but taking out an amazing burn and combo by the Banana Man, and Master is able to take out that fight. Now Kathanas, Valka, Fenrika, Dira, and Loose Lucky just fighting out the 2v2 at the end of it. Flash forward from Valka, needs to find this damage, but Loose Lucky takes it out. It's now top laner versus top laner. Is the tank going to be enough to take out the Bruiser? Not quite. Well, we'll see if Loose Lucky is able to tank up this dragon when do it. Valka does have that TP, is potentially able to stop Loose Lucky. You can see the ward in the pit does see Loose Lucky. So if Valka thinks that he can find this angle, find a little bit more, he does have the 3 items. It's going to launch the TP in, and Loose Lucky just going to run away. Doesn't want the smoke there.
Yeah,
doesn't want to risk it.
It's smart. Kali does have teleport up in 3 seconds, and so she would have the advantage. Had the Renekton stayed and like battled the Renekton, the Malphite, I think it would have been a death for Loose Lucky. That fight was incredible.
Yeah, and important to note, we have a lot of big cooldowns lost, right? Valka and Zebra both with no flashes, and both carries don't have flashes, right? But still, that's big if you're Ronin, right? Those are your 2 really big engagers that you don't have flash on anymore. That's not going to be able to get that dive on a Happier Cat. You can see the TP in now from Loose Lucky. They really don't want to give over this dragon. Going to go right back into another fight. But that dragon, they might just be able to rush it down. We'll see. Kathanas is not here in time. This dragon's going to go the way of the Ronin, but the engage happens. Happier Cat going, looking for that perfect execution on the backside, but it's going to be, Master with the first kill. Now with a double, will end up being taken out by the Storm Surge eventually for 21. But the extra kill coming out for the Banana Man. 3 for 1 so far. And it's going to be Wizards taking that fight, but it is Ronin that managed to secure the dragon. So that will be soul point for them. I think you're happy to get that dragon. You were hoping the fight afterwards went a little bit better, but yeah, I think if you're Wizards, you're not too unhappy, right? You obviously didn't want to lose that dragon, but you're possibly able to get this inhibitor tower for it. You're at least able to get the tier 2. We'll see if they're going to be able to get the inhibitor as well. Zebra's up in 5 seconds. Dira's up in 2. Just trying to secure it, and it looks like they're going to grab it and just try and back out here.
Yeah, no, that's the right call. There's no reason for them to stay here. Reset. Big fight was won. Lots of golden pockets. I think it'll be good just to reset that. Yeah, a little bit of a little bit of a split fight there. I wasn't sure where Happier Cat was, but I think she was being zoned off there. The Akali was. Initially, I thought it would be a bit bad for Ronin, for the side of Wizards, just because Kathanas was not with the team, but it didn't seem like the engage from that Vi landed there, at least earlier on in that fight.
Yeah, and like you said, I think this is really important to note here. You can already see the gold differences in the teams and all the pockets. And it's very interesting. We're actually seeing Master go for the Infinity Edge over the Lord Doms, and while I don't think I agree with it, is able to get a lot of damage out, especially from that Blade Caller, right? You can see in that last, sorry, not the last fight, but the fight right before that, right? Dove on by both the Malphite and the Vi, and the Akali, all of them at once. And that Blade Caller did so much damage to the Vi and Akali. Not as much to the Malphite, but I say that immediately jumped on. Master taking out Loi-10, Zebra taken out in the mid lane, Dira forced to use that dredge line against the wall, trying to answer back to Loose Lucky in the bot lane, but the TP comes out, the Unstoppable Force, looking for the extra damage. The perfect execution is a lot, but it's not going to be quite enough there. Now you can see the Banana Man going back there in the bot side. They're able to take out Dira, trying to buy a little bit of time maybe for his team to push into these towers and the game, but they are going to have the burn. They have to be careful. You can see they keep stopping the backs. They're not able to get back in time, and they're going to be knocking on these towers. It's going to be Happier Cat actually being forced to TP to the tower to try and stop them. But
There's up in
I don't
10
know.
seconds.
Maybe you just have to be, yeah, maybe you have to be back. Valko now finally back, but doesn't have the ultimate either. Master gets a ton of damage. He's able to land one good Blade Caller. It might be enough, but taking a ton of damage out. Featherstorm comes there, but it's not going to be quite enough damage onto Happier Cat to take him out. Getting the quick route onto Valka, and really nice there. You're able to get a Nexus Tower for that, and yeah, just Lysandira and Zebra all pushed up way too far in the mid lane with absolutely no vision on that bot side. Now going to try and transition this into a potential Baron, but Valka, Zebra, and Litten do have the first rotation. You can see Happier Cat and Dira running right back. 21 just looking for a little bit of extra vision, but Master's forced to back because he was so low, and it's actually going to be Ronin that are first to this Baron.
Yeah, they have a good tempo here because of that. There is no vision, no sharp vision right now on the side of Wizards. I don't think, though, the Ronin can start that fight. I think it's what they want, unless they got a pick over here.
Yeah, looking for 21. The Vault Breaker comes out. The Dredge Line as well. The quickness comes out, but it's not going to be enough. Taken out before anything can happen. The Banana Man jumped out about the cease and desist. Finally goes into Zanya's. The burn is a lot. The damage coming out is a lot. Master Edge is absolutely able to free fire onto all of the enemies there, getting an extra Blade Caller, and with 1 HP, they're managed to clutch out that fight. Happier Cat now the only one left alive, getting run down by Kathanas. Does take the E back in. They're going to try and get the 1v1 here, but with no perfect execution, has to be very careful. Kathanas is 2 levels up. As a jungler, that is insane to see just how much he was able to farm. The E still there. Happier Cat goes back in, pops in the Twilight Shroud, trying to get the Qs off. Kathanas just using that speed to get out. No more kills happening, but meanwhile, all that was happening. Loose Lucky TPs into the top side, wants to end this game, wants to take it out. Happier Cat being run down by Kathanas the entire time. Is he going to be able to get it? Not even able to get the 1v1 for the Nexus trade. It's going to be a full ace for the Wizards as Loose Lucky hits onto this Nexus and takes game 1 for the Wizards.
Yeah, good job to the Wizards as they kind of capitalized on their lead there. Really tough for the Ronin. I know we were talking about earlier how Ronin's comp might be easier to execute, but one of the big problems with their comp is if they don't nuke the one character that they're trying to nuke, it's kind of over. I think multiple times during this game, Brand would die pretty early on the fight, but he ulted, he used E, he stunned someone. And that already did, like, as you can see in the stats bar here, 31,000 damage for 7 deaths, and for someone who dies, like, in the first 5 seconds of the fight, I think was just too hard to handle.
Really, really great plays there, I think, from both teams, but yeah, really nice from Wizards there. Knew their margins, knew where they could go. Really great play from Master there, right? Surviving dives that he definitely should not have survived on slivers of HP is insane. But yeah, like you said, the Brand able to just get so much damage against these sort of go-in comps. And it's like we were talking about in draft, right? I think there is a bit of a simpler way to do it. You have that extra simplicity if you are the Ronin, but you only have one game plan, right? If it doesn't work out, it's very easy to capitalize on your mistakes, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I will say though, kudos to Valka there. I think earlier on that Malphite was struggling mighty hard against the Renekton, but that one gank and fight with the Vi from Zebra really turned the tides and became one of the reasons, if not the largest reasons, why they kept winning future fights. I think just the tankiness really provided a lot of space for Akali, for Zeri, but unfortunately they were just not as coordinated as the Wizards when it came to these big team fights.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the big thing here is that you're able to get all of this damage out from your carries, even if they do go down. The ability for like Kathanas, for Voodoo, for this Renekton to get in, to jump on these players, that even if you get your dive off, if Luton goes down, which happened quite a bit, it's very hard to actually finish off the fight, right? We saw that time and time again. They got that initial dive. They were able to get the Brand or the Xayah or one or the other, but the fight just ended up with Cathanas and Renekton still alive, one still running you down because your Zeri is no longer alive, and they faced a big damage issue, like we said.
Yeah,
But
and I think that also happened in the penultimate fight too. I think what happened was Renekton and Hecarim were alive, and then Malphite and Nautilus were alive, right? It was just a wet noodle fight among all the tanks.
yeah, definitely. But we've said our piece. Good play from both teams. Congratulations to Wizards for winning game 1. When we come back, we will be in draft for game 2. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. to Game 2 draft of the Blue Water Draft League Sapphire Division. We have the Wizards and the Ronin. Wizards taking Game 1 in a not so decisive but very bloodbathy game. Very exciting to watch and see. And we'll see if Ronin are able to adapt their draft. Last time, they had a very simple draft using a sort of Vi Malphite comp. They had the Akali love to go in, but the second that sort of fell apart, Wizards were able to pick them apart piece by piece, winning those fights out, and they just didn't have the damage or the steam to finish it off. So we'll see if they're able to adapt to that, go for a more well-rounded team comp this time.
Yeah, but we are seeing some of the familiar bands from Game 1. Not really any adaptations here. Important to note that did switch sides. But I think Viego, Poppy, Siam all banned out last game. Ivern, Nico, and we'll see if Skarner was also the last. Yep, and it is. And it seems like they kind of did the reverse Uno card here, and now Ronin are selecting Brand with their first pick.
Yeah, going right back over. Seems like that's a bit of a contested pick, right? Wizards doing very well with it last time, so can be locked in. Nice little flex as well, right? Can go into a multitude of positions. Good in jungle, good in mid, good in bot, good in support. So pretty good. And the Hui actually picked up for the Wizards there. Something that we haven't seen a ton of yet, but has been a very good pick in both the bot lane and the mid lane. So we'll see if the Wizards sort of keep that flex open. Maybe go for a jungle pick here if they just lock in the supporter bot laner and guarantee it.
Yeah, the Hui is pretty strong. I think it's a good counter to Brand. Kind of mitigates some of the deficit that Akali has in being a melee ranged champ. Hui is able to be more of a caster and kind of sit back, waiting for the Brand to kind of do its magic. As we do see Wizards picking Kai'Sa as their ADC, so Hui effectively being their mid lane. Maybe a support, trickery, but probably Hui in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine so. Locking in the Kai'Sa as well for Master. Very prolific pick, so a bit aggressive, and now we do see the Ronin going for a bit more of that Jinx comp, so I'd expect to see something that peels or maybe an aggressive jungler here. I would not be surprised to see something like a Sejuani, bit of a more engagier, tankier jungler, maybe the Vi, we'll see. But I expect to see either jungle here or maybe the support pick. Maybe even see something like the Nautilus or an Enchanter, but I imagine... Nope, there's the Braum, so it will be a more peel-oriented support pick. So, yeah, probably going to want to play for that more team fight-oriented 5v5 front-to-back here. They have the Brand, they have the Jinx, two very prolific carries, and the Braum as well to keep them both safe.
Yeah, we'll see what the Wizards respond to this Braum pick. I'm assuming they will be picking their support just so that they don't get banned out here, and it is the Nautilus going against the Braum. I think now, if you're on the side of Wizards, who do you want to focus on the bans? Last game, we had Vi and Malphite being played, but they stick to the guns and ban the Mundo once again.
Yeah, not that surprised to see it. We are going to see the Hecarim ban actually come out for the Ronin, so they definitely don't want to see that. We are going to see the Nautilus locked in this game for the Wizards, so they definitely want to go for, I think, the more aggressive style comp this time. Probably going to want at least one more piece of engage and one more piece of damage to really lock in, be able to get these early picks off, because the big thing you have to worry about is that if you give them time, the Brand and the Jinx will absolutely tear team fights apart, right? You need to get one of them. You need to, preferably the Jinx as well, because if that Jinx gets excited, even if the Brand goes down, still should be able to tear through those team fights. And the Braum, to keep it all safe, means that it's going to be very hard to get on top of those targets.
Yeah, we do see Hecarim, Wukong being banned out, and to finish us off here, I'm assuming another jungler, unless they want to ban that Renekton. It should appear in a few seconds. I know Draft Law is having some issues at the moment. And it's the Trundle.
The Trundle is crazy. I don't know if we were legitimately expecting to see the Trundle. I don't think it would have been an amazing pick there, but we should be seeing the R4 relatively soon. Not sure about that. We are going to see the Olaf come out actually, so that's
Whoa.
interesting.
It
That
could
is
be
sort of
flexed.
it is a good flex, right? So it's gonna sort of force Ronin to draft around the idea that could either be the top or the jungle. I'd imagine, given these players, that it goes towards the top side, but it could definitely go towards the jungle, especially if we end up seeing something like the Renekton Olaf as your duo top side. Especially given the fact that Kaisa does quite a bit of magic damage, right? Not really that physical carry. You end up going for that Ginsu's Nashers.
Mhm.
You end up building, more of that AP line. We're going to see the Gnar actually used to answer first. So that sort of range top is going to be obviously very good into the Olaf. They decide to send it top.
Yeah.
But also just a generally good blind pick if they need to. So I'm not shocked. And the Jarvan as well, which is going to help a lot. I think that Gnar Jarvan, both a good blind pick, but also the Jarvan giving a lot of engage and ways early game to this sort of scaling front to back team comp, and that's going to be really important.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were missing some gap closers, so having a Gnar and a Jarvan there as those CC dealers is great. We'll see how Wizards respond. I think the Olaf will probably go jungle. I don't know how it fares well against the Gnar. I'm not used to that matchup, and they end up selecting Jax as their final pick.
Yeah, I like that. I'd imagine then that probably is the Olaf going to be going towards the jungle. The Jax does quite well into the Gnar. And I don't think, if you're Olaf, you're not sad to see a Jarvan, you're saying, yeah, dive in onto me.
Yeah.
Put me into a 1v1. I'd love for you to be melee range where I can just free hit you. So overall, I think both comps make sense. And I'd say, I definitely want to give this one to the Ronin. I don't think it's as straightforward as last game. I think this is a bit more flexible. I really do like the Gnar and Jarvan B4, B5. I think that was a very smart play, sort of being able to give yourself both a good Olaf matchup as well as a solid blind pick. But if you do get hard punished by that Jax, that could definitely be a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the interactions here, because I would assume Gnar and Jax would be off to the side lane. The side of Wizards is lacking a bit of CC. We do have Nautilus with the hard engage, and I guess you could get a pick with the Hui ultimate or any of Hui CC. But it's a little bit harder for, I think, the Olaf to kind of just drill in and engage on the Ronin's backline. I think there's a lot of stops, like disengage from Ronin with the Braum ultimate, the Jarvan ultimate. So it'll be interesting to see which lanes are prioritized in terms of the early game, because I think if you're on the side of Wizards, if you can get this Olaf ahead or this Jax ahead, it'll be really hard for Ronin to answer that.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that the big benefit here is that you're able to side lane quite well. You have so much wave clear that if you're able to take these good, even if you lose some of these fights, but even if you're able to take good fights, you're going to be able to hard punish by pushing these towers incredibly hard. You're able to clear waves if you need to just buy a little bit more time. And being first to objective is going to be really important, right? You do have that Nautilus for the engage, but also you have so much more range, right? The Kaisa, especially when you come online with this empowered W as well as the Hui, just gives you so much poke, and it sort of forces Ronin to be the ones to go in with that Jarvan to try and get that off. And if you're able to get like a good Hui re-return engage, right? Like land that Molten Fissure, able to land that Root, able to land all of this power, and forcing you to go into the Olaf, you're able to get a lot better of a fight, right? And you really need to get that Jinx to start off that fight with a kill, or else you just sort of get run over on the re-engage.
Yeah, I think ultimately for both teams, it seems like vision will be key. I feel like most fights it is, but I think very importantly here too, because you don't want to be collapsed on quite quickly and have a carry off the map before an objective is in play. So we'll see who gets the early advantage there.
Yeah, we'll see. But for right now, I think we're going to cut it to a short break. When we come back, we will be in game for game 2. Don't go anywhere.
moving on. Keep moving on. And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Blue Otter Draft League. We are in Game 2 now, Wizards versus Ronin. There was a bit of an issue where one of the junglers did not take Smite, so we had to restart the lobby, unfortunately. We have gotten that fixed now, so we should be all good, all set. There wasn't really any technical issues, just that, so hopefully no pauses, no nothing. We do see a bit of a bush stack here from Ronin, expecting an invade, but seems like Wizards do not want to risk that.
Yeah, seems like it'll be a standard 5-point on the side of Wizards, and we'll see Ronin probably disperse fairly soon as we take a look at the summoner spells. We do see this brand not going to Dark Harvest, but instead the classic Comet. We also see Gnar having the Fleet Footwork, which I don't think is standard. I'd assume it usually goes Grasp. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm trying to remember because I know for a very long time people were running grass, but I'm pretty sure it's sort of interchangeable now. I think there's reasons for both. I think the big one is Fleet is much more of a bullying in lane type thing, and Grasp is a bit more of a scaling option. But I think they're. I think Grasp, it sort of depends on how often you're going to be proccing it, right? Because, like, there are certain times where you're just not going to be able to walk up and proc that Grasp on the Jax without getting punished for it. So I think Fleet is also a bit of a safer option.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll see, again, the jungler starting top side, going to bot side, and then I think the Wizard should have the level 2 advantage here if they're pushing correctly, but they are backing off a bit. And instead, we might be able to see the Ronin getting level 2 first.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can push that advantage, but in the top side is going to be Valka, who's actually getting the level 2 advantage there. Just using it to poke out that Jax a bit, trying to sort of get this wave in maybe on the third, try and crash it a little bit. It's going to be just a bit of ways off, so probably going to try and get that Mega Gnar, push into that level 3 wave, maybe get an easy cheater recall off. You see the stun, really nice plays there onto the Jax, forced to jump out there, or would have had to eat a boulder, and you can see the damage coming out now, just shoving that wave in. Getting a lot of good damage, and should be able to take a bit of a cheater here if he wants to, or maybe just backing off. We'll have to see. Looks like is going to just try and poke under tower there instead of getting a recall, just to get as much damage down onto this Jax as possible early on.
Yeah, meanwhile on the bot side, I think the Jarvan has a little bit of a faster clear, one camp ahead, so we'll see what happens there. Because we do have a little bit of a fight here mid lane, but not amounting to much, just a little bit of poke here and there.
Yeah, just some trades coming out early on. And you can see the brand is very prolific early on. But Hui should be able to sort of get that range online relatively quickly. But yeah, in this early game, the brand is going to have the priority, is going to have a bit of a easier time pushing at it. And you can see it is going to be Zebra who is first scuttle. Katana's just going to be running back, see if he can maybe get that topside scuttle, if he's going to be able to trade that out, or if he's going to get punished on. You can see Zebra now coming in for a possible gank. Banana Man has to be careful. Risk using that flash. It's going to be Zebra just going for the damage onto Kathanas, actually. Now the Ghost popped. Gonna try and run down Happier Cat, looking for the damage. Happier Cat forced to flash out. It's going to be the first blood going over to Zebra. A flash there from Zebra. Flash forward! Banana Man gets punished there by the Q. Zebra with a double kill earlier on. All flashes used and the Ghost used from Kathanas, but yeah, just couldn't quite manage it out. The axe did not find Happier Cat, leaving it just a sliver, and the Banana Man, with that W, wasn't quite able to finish off Happier Cat with a really good dodge there.
Yeah, good flash protect there too on the side of Zebra. I don't know, I couldn't really tell if Wei flashed first or not, but regardless, does secure them the second kill, and we have 2 under Jarvan's belt. We'll see how Olaf kind of gets back into it, because I think you don't want that Olaf to fall behind so quickly. Jarvan can handle its own, and it's going to be a mega first purchase when this Jarvan backs.
Yeah, it's gonna be really strong, and especially on your Jarvan, right? Like, we know you want gold onto these carries, obviously, but getting it onto your Jarvan is going to help out your early game so much. It's gonna give so much better clear. It's gonna allow for much more aggressive ganks and much faster ganks, while not really falling that far behind in the CS department, right? Especially because you're gonna want to upgrade that smite as soon as possible. So, I'd say really, really great plays here, and especially now that you have so much of that priority in the mid and top side, you should be able to get those grubs quite easily and possibly even not even trade a dragon for it.
Yeah, we see that first purchase will be a tunneler, ruby crystal, and a longsword. So quite the first back purchase, as we see the Jarvan actually pathing towards his raptors and probably looking for the Drake.
Yeah, but a little bit of an engage there from Loose Lucky. Gets ulted by the Gnar. Has to be forced to flash out there. A little bit of a misplay there, thinking that he might have had the damage, but even with a stun, the stun doesn't last long enough for you to actually get out of that ultimate Gnar range, so has to be very careful next time he tries to do that, especially now that he doesn't have flash.
Yeah, it was. I think Lucky was a little bit misguided there. Gnar was level 5. The moment he jumped in, Gnar became level 6, and so unfortunately that meant a flash burned for Lucky.
Yeah.
So we do see the. Oh, no, go on.
I was gonna say, you can see now just how much it's starting, right? You can see the Banana Man starting to have much better wave clear, but still not enough to match that brand, right? Who's just gonna be able to walk up for those grubs without any real competition.
Yeah, we do see a trade here. Zebra collecting the 3 Void Grubs, and Olaf should be finishing up this Chemtech Drake.
Yeah, potential gank over the wall. You can see Zebra just hovering there, but Banana Man doesn't want to give anything over, so just trading out objectives sort of 1 for 1 early on. Still, with the kill on CS advantage, though, and how massive it's been, you can already see a 1.5k gold lead at 7 minutes into the game, which is really big for the Ronin.
Yeah, and on the other side of the map in bot lane, really not much action going on. No one has back yet. They're both carries are just on their Dorn's Blade. So we'll see if the junglers come down here to kind of give them a little bit small respite to buy. We do see the junks maybe engaged. Nope, just goes away.
Yep, Banana Man should be forced back here, right? With very low mana, very low HP, you kind of have to be careful. Master is trying to stop any of those backs if you can, but both ADCs relatively even. Bot lane not really being a location right now, just sort of hanging out, not where the party is. It's really that top side of the map that's been seeing a lot of action so far.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what this brand buys as a first item. I know typically brands go either Leandries or Rylai's. Rylai's would be interesting, just because obviously Ola kind of mitigates some of that issue with his ultimate.
Yeah, well, it looks like it will be their allies.
Yeah,
given that
never
Giant's
mind.
belt. Now has to be very careful. Loose Lucky does have the ultimate still, but without any flash, you have to be a bit careful. Valka's just trying to zone him, and Zebra is up. Forced out of that recall. Valka gonna be in Mega Gnar soon as well, and this should be a dive. Zebra just gonna wait for it. Valka looking for it. Gonna look for the ultimate. The stun's there. The jump into the wall. It actually knocks him out of way of the Jarvan, but the attack speed and the shield is gonna get that assist, and it's going to be Valka picking up another kill.
Yeah, good setup there. Very clean. There's I don't think any way for the Jacks to remotely even be close to getting the revenge kill, but we do see Nautilus engaging here.
Yeah, really nice recognition there to realize that Dira's not there. That's should be absolutely free, right? Flashing forward, landing the dredge line, landing that depth charge, and there's really nothing you can do. Luton just not even using the flash, right? Using the barrier, maybe buys some time, but doesn't want to risk it, knows that he is dead to rights. Master still had the killer instinct if he decided to flash away, so there was really nothing to be done there. Has to be a bit more careful, right? Especially when you're against this Kaisa Nautilus. If your brand isn't there, you cannot walk up. You do not have the ability to dodge out there. Happier Cat getting a bit low. Spiraling Spare doing a good bit of damage, but just using it to force back off. Not really any kills happening here. And as I say, Master might have been punished as well. The flash forward and the exhaust now from Braum. Dira needs one more auto for the stun, and there it is, but Kathanas is here to back it up. Gonna be the flash out of Master, but it's gonna be everything from Dira. Now that going forward, Zebra managed to get that Cataclysm onto it, but he's gonna be giving his kill over to the ADC. Dragon up in 2 minutes, so nothing else to pick up, but a really nice kill there. Gonna set the jungler even further behind, and Luton gets on the board with that first kill of the game.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about here earlier. Although I say this, Nautilus might go wrap around here.
Same mistakes, like I'm saying, you're just not respecting this. Nautilus goes in, Master should be able to get this extremely easily. Forced to use that barrier to dodge out on the damage from the Super Mega Death Rocket, but yeah, without the run, there's really no competition there. And you got that kill, you got double buffs, and then you immediately throw it away back over to Master. Completely unnecessarily, I might add. They really... The one plate was not worth it.
No, we do see a
Flash
flash
forward
there.
there from Happier Cat, though, landing the ultimate, getting a ton of damage onto the Banana Man, and goes for the solo kill. Dira gets that assist just by hopping in with that stand behind me, gives some resist, so nice nice bit of gold onto your support as well. But yeah, pretty much solo the kill there from Happier Cat. Really nice.
Yeah, I think there's okay. We'll have a little lull of the action here. Good recognition on the part of Happier Cat. I don't think Banana Man was really expecting that much bulkiness coming from that Giant's belt. But did save Happier Cat there. We do see the Olaf
Ooh,
going
TPs.
in. Yeah.
Happier Cat there to collapse. Kathanas is up here. The Banana Man TPing in as well, and it might be Zebra a little bit too far forward. The Death Charge goes out, but Zebra should be out of there. Uses that flag and drag to get out, and it's actually going to be one Void Grub over to the Wizards. So once again, it's going to be a 5-1 split on the Void Grubs. Neither team able to get those 6 Void Grubs in either of these games, but still going the way of the Ronin. Quite a bit of gold up there, and you can see Master just being zoned off of that tower. Zoned off of this CS by Dira and Moiten. Not quite caught by those chompers, so not too careful. The Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't pick anyone up, but the Dragon is up now. Pushed in that bot wave. They're looking for a little bit, and we'll see if there's a fight around this Dragon, if they're just going to give it up. After realizing they don't have that Spiraling Despair anymore. It's kind of big.
Yeah, Master's actually doing a good job there, just being 1v2. I think there was a world where Dira could have looked for an ult, but I think the double buff is really preventing them from actually going for the dive, as we do see the Nart getting that 4th plate at 12 minutes.
And you can see this is why teams prioritize those Void Grubs so much, right? Like, that extra true damage doesn't seem like a lot. It seems like very small numbers, but when your teams are just constantly hitting on the towers, right? 3 tower plates down bot side, 4 in the top side. The incremental damage is just so much. You can see Dredgeline missing there for 21. Zebra's trying to walk in, maybe look for a Cataclysm. Goes forward onto Master. Does land the Cataclysm onto 2. And then Depth Charge comes out. Master forced to flash back. Dira looking for a little bit more as he uses that Dredgeline to hook the wall. Spider-Man out of there for a bit. Master just looking over the wall for maybe some W poke. But they are first to the Dragon. Ronin have 4 on that. And without the Banana Man's TP, without any real way of engaging, it's going to be the TP from Loose Lucky, actually, completely giving up this topside tower. And it's going to be the steal away from Kathanas. Now in the middle of all of them, it's going to be Loiten going down, locked up by that Depth Charge. Dira now maybe looking for some extra poke, a little bit of extra damage now. Happier Cat trying to trade it back. And the TP comes in for Valkafan Rika. It is going to be Happier Cat able to snipe away 21 on the back end of this fight. Kathanas and the Banana Man forced to walk out. Spiraling Despair misses, though, and that's really dangerous now. Slowed up by Valka. Jump in from Zebra, and it's going to be Happier Cat picking up the kill. Overall, I'd say definitely not worth it for the Wizards, but hey, you did manage to get that Dragon Steel, right? But you gave up the tower for it. You got a lot of those kills, and if you're Ronin, you're happy about the kills, but you are upset that you weren't able to win that smite fight. That is going to be 2 dragons over to the Wizards, who now really have no fear about you stacking dragons, right? They want to stack dragons, but they can also just buy time if they need to. Just chill out here and wait for some scaling to come in.
Yeah, I think the Wizards were a little bit too big for their bridges there. I think getting the kill, I'm sorry, the Dragon Steel there, I think they should have just escaped, right? But no, they were a little greedy. Banana Man and I believe it was 21 that were staying behind. Or was it Cathonis? And they were unfortunately not able to land an ult to do some damage. Unfortunately, Hui did go down. Gold still favoring the side of Ronin. There is a small delay now that they've been able to stack dragons. I can't tell what the soul is. I know it appears as mountain, but they just slayed the mountain. So I can't beat that. Oh no, it's Hextech, as we can see in the minimap that the Hextech gates are up.
Yeah. Nice there. I do think that the Hextech gates being up is going to be a big deal. It's going to allow these rotations around the map a lot faster, and it's going to be really, really beneficial for especially Zebra to be able to find these sort of flanks onto the enemy. It's very good for the Jax as well, but I think with how far ahead this Jarvan is right now, you can see behind almost 30 CS in farm, but just helping out his team so much that you don't really care about trying to perma farm here, right? Like, that's not your job as the Jarvan. Your job is to gank a lot and get these objectives, and that's exactly what's happening, right? 5 Void Grubs, now finally picking up the Herald. Dragon up in 2 minutes 30 seconds, and then imagine the Ronin are absolutely going to want to force a fight there.
Yeah, looking for a dive here bot lane with this Olaf down here.
Yeah, potentially. Dira is there. The depth charge comes out. Not a shield up in time, but the Glacial Fissure blocks off the damage completely from Luiten. They don't have any way back on this. Master exhausted, forced a barrier out, and it's going to be Kathana's trying to chase him down. Under tower, does finally manage to get Luiten, but Stoy is stunned up for his trouble. Happier Cat picking up the kill. A 1-for-1, and you invested a full dive and a TP into that. So, do not think it was worth it, but at least you managed to get the kill, right? There's some benefit there, but you're forced out now. Zebra's going to be dropping the Herald. Valka's just completely bullying this top side, completely running down this Jax, and it is very rough here.
Yeah. I think they were a little bit too, again, big for the bridges. I think the concept of the tower dive was great, but I don't think they had to pull the bullet there. I think if they could just wait a few more seconds, let the tower die, then collapse and dive, I think they would have been in a much brighter spot. As we see Jarvan maybe going for this Kaisa.
Yeah, definitely. Jarvan going forward, a little bit aggressive there when you don't really have your team, but I mean, I guess it's fine for the damage, right? You don't really need to get anything there, but gets out pretty easily. Was able to land only one charge in the bot side with that Herald, so yeah, you kind of wish you had found a little bit more value, but being able to open up that bot side tower means that your bot lane can now move into mid and really start pressuring this mid tier 1, right, with those Void Grubs.
Yeah, I think this Hextech should be fairly contested by Ronin, only because with the Hextech Soul, seeing the poke coming out from the Hui and the Kaisa, it's actually a really big soul for them. They'll be able to poke down the Jinx and the Brand, and unfortunately render them kind of a little bit useless before the fights. So we'll see how big of a priority both teams are giving it. We have 30 seconds left. We do see some vision on both sides, and they're collapsing onto this Nautilus.
Yeah, trying to find something here. The Nautilus trying to survive through it all, taking so much damage there, but it's going to be the Super Mega Death Rocket finally getting the kill. And with 15 seconds on drag, it's going to be very, very dangerous. You can see Zebra takes a little bit of poke from the Banana Man, but it's probably not going to be enough. You can see Happier Cat on the flank. Valka Frederica does have that TP as well, if needed, does have plenty of flank wards. And if I'm Wizards, I'm just giving this over, right? There's no real reason to contest this. There's no real reason to try. And it looks like they're just going to try and rotate up to this top side to maybe catch out the Snar.
Yeah, even then, I think that was the wrong Kong too. They could have gone in mid tower here, kind of force him off Dragon potentially, but instead they're going to go for the Gnar, who has the bounce, who doesn't even have a shutdown. And their mid tower might actually be collapsed on at this point because they invested all the resources going top.
Yeah, and the Jinx with this minigun especially, it just wipes through towers so quickly. You can see,
Whoa.
not even worrying. The root onto Luiten, but no real follow-up here to worry about. You have Zebra waiting in the wings. The dredge line comes out.
Whoa.
And it could have been disastrous if that actually landed. They do not know that Happier Cat and Zebra are waiting in that bush, waiting to maybe find something. See the damage coming out. They want to find it, but there's not really a lot to happen. You can see the ult come out now from the Jax, try and find a little bit more poke onto Valka. It's going to be knocking him back into the tower. The stun comes up. The damage is through, but both just having to walk away. The stun comes out. A flash forward from Loose Love. He's actually going to be able to find a solo kill. We'll go down to the tower afterwards, but it's going to be the Ragnarok on Icthonus who gets caught out on his own Raptors.
Yeah, exchange of deaths at the top lane. I think I wouldn't say it's a positive for Loose Lucky here.
Oh, the Super Mega Death Rocket comes out. A lot of damage there for 21 with a really amazing dredge line to stop the
Whoa.
Rallying Despair comes out, takes out one, but the Banana Man goes out for it. Now Jinx is excited, needs one more auto, takes out Luiten, looking for 21, but it's going to be the tower that takes him out before he can. Happier Cat flashes forward and use that Pillar of Flame to take out 21. An ace, not a clean one, but an ace nonetheless for the Ronin, taking out that mid-tier 1 as well.
Yeah, a series of unfortunate events there in the mid lane. I think all kind of started with Icthonus dying by this Jarvan ult. I think the only big pro from that fight there was we did see the Jinx fall. I thought initially Braum got the kill, but the Kaisa burn was actually able to get that kill. First kill for Master. That 4K lead now kind of balloons up to being about a little over 6.5K. So I guess on the side of the Wizards, how are you approaching this mid game. Well, we've passed the 20-minute mark. Drake is coming up in 3 minutes. Baron is already up. How do you win this game?
Honestly, I think it's really rough, right? You need the dragons, but you're already down this dragon. You don't have a ton of the same team fight potential. That Jinx is starting to come online. That brand is 5-0. You have a ton of engage from these double bruisers, plus the Braum frontline. That's extremely hard to cut through. If you're Wizards, you need to buy time. You need this Jax to be a side lane threat. You need the Banana Man to be able to use this Blackfire Torch. You need him to be able to cut through these team fights. And he's just not able to do that right now. Master needs at least 2 more items, right? Maybe 1.5. You need that Ginsu. You need the Nashers 100% of the time, right? You need to be able to find this range and to poke them out. But right now, Master is not going to have that until at least Nashers. The Banana Man, maybe when he gets Horizon Focus, but still probably going to need at least 1 more item after that. So you just kind of need a turtle for another item or 2, right? The bright side here is that you did have 2 early dragons, which means Ronin aren't going to be on soul point for another 2 dragons, right? You have another at least 7 minutes to get those 2 items before you seriously need to worry about just getting that Hextech Soul and losing the game off of it, right? So,
yeah. Do you think they should go Chris Baron here?
I don't know if they have the position. I think it's a bit worrying. They do have, both top laners do have TPs, and the Baron does do quite a bit of damage, so I think if you wait it out, if you let that Baron do the damage, you might, but I don't think you just go for a straight up 5v5. I think you need to wait a bit, get some poke down before you can really try.
Yeah, no, I agree here. Yeah, I think as we see a little bit of a tussle between Loose Lucky and Volca, you're right. I think they need to turn a little bit, and I think primarily they really need to stun this brand. It has a 450 gold shutdown, probably the main source of damage for their team. I think they need to go all in, but we're still not getting caught out.
Yeah, 21. Looking for a little bit of vision, but caught immediately. Slowed up there by Loiten. Stunned by a Happier Cat. Knocked up by Zebra, and there's really no chance for redemption there. They have the some good damage there, but you can see the Banana Man getting a lot of this poke, and this is really what you want to see in those team fights, but without any backup and without any real contest, right? You don't have the Nautilus. There's not really a lot you can do here, so just forced to give up that Baron. And now a Dragon up in 30 seconds with the entire enemy team having Baron buff, I'd imagine you can't really contest this, right? If you're Wizards, you probably just give this one over as well. Try and turtle for another couple minutes, right? And this is what we were talking about, right? Kaisa finally on that Ginsu's. You do have Hui on that second item. If you can buy a little bit more time, get farm onto your carries, and be able to just stall this game out a little bit longer, you can maybe fight that 3rd dragon. You don't need to. You're definitely going to have to fight that 4th, but right now, there's really not a lot to do except farm, get some objective bounties, try and find gold wherever possible.
Yep, and they are doing so by sending the Nautilus and the Kai'Sa top lane. Seems like the wave isn't crashing towards them, unfortunately, so they won't be able to get that shutdown gold. But you're right. Let them waste the Baron while they grab drag. Just farm it up as Banana Man kind of smooth glides out there.
Yeah, potentially looking for a kill in the mid lane. Kathanis looking for something. Happier Cat just forcing them off, and they weren't even able to get that tower, right? Which is really unfortunate. That's something you desperately needed, and now you can see with the Baron forcing into that bot side, Happier Cat just splitting in that top side. And you have to pick at least one lane to defend here, because if you don't, you're just going to end up giving everything. And it looks like they're not going to have enough time to defend. Dira puts up that shield, going to be blocking it out. Spiraling Despair as well, goes onto the Braum, who's just body blocking everything. But now the fight comes out. Zebra goes in, lands a knock-up onto 2, but doesn't want to use it. Finally, leave Cataclysm out onto Master. Fight's coming through. Happier Cat TP in. Louis 10 getting chased down by the Olaf, but it's actually going to be the Ronin with the first kill. Loose Lucky now jumps onto the backline, is able to get 1. They're able to get both carries out, but Valkyrie Fenrika is still alive. The Snar still very strong. Dira trying to body block as much as possible, but it's the 2 carries still alive for the Wizards. Master with that Ginsu is trying to find as much damage as possible. Fully stacked lethal tempo, looking for more. Lands it onto the Braum, lands it onto the Gnar. A double kill for Master to win that fight for his team. And if you're Wizards, this is exactly what you needed to find. You needed this fight. An ace for the Wizards. The Banana Man picking up some assists there, but a lot of kills for Master, and that's really important there. Getting all that gold onto your carries, defending yourself, buying all that extra time, maybe even getting, because of the TPs, this push into the mid lane. Sorry, not mid lane, tower. I highly doubt they're going to be able to get that in time, but you're just able to get so much off that, and that's so huge. You can see Blasting Wand and the Fiendish Codex onto the Kaisa, who's now a lot more accelerated towards that Nashor's, and that's going to make a massive difference.
Yeah, good defense there on the side of Wizards. But the Baron power play, I feel like might be negative on the side of Ronin. They couldn't even get an inhibitor there. And having Banana Man and Master collecting most of the gold there is huge. We also see on the side of Hui, the needlessly large Rav, which I'm assuming is going to be either the Rabadons or the Shadow Flame. We'll see what they decide to go. Thor's kind of farming here, but it might be a little bit too late as this Jarvan ults.
Yeah, looking for more. The Cataclysm onto Cathanis. See if they can get the damage quite down. That burst should be able to, yeah, plus the extra flag and drag from Zeba is going to guarantee that knockup. And now an engage from 21 lands the Dredge line onto Dira, use the death charge, but just a quick jump back there means that they're not going to be able to find anything. Loose Lucky, not quite. Now 21 tagged up with that Braum passive. One more auto will stun him up. Zebra goes in with the flag and drag, and it's going to be Leuchten taking out that first kill. Now Happier Cat does find the Pillar of Flame onto Master, but hit up with that Spiraling Despair. They need to find a little bit more, but they're not going to be able to quite do that. Happier Cat falling very low. No major objectives up for the next 2 minutes, but they're going to try and look for the siege onto this tower. They don't have any more Baron buff, though, so they will just be able to get wave clear down now. You can see the Banana Man with that Molten Fissure is going to be able to find so much wave clear. Master as well with the Static Shiv means it's going to be really, really hard to actually siege these towers down without the Baron buff.
Yeah, a little bit of a pickle here for Wizards. I think the tempo kind of caught up to the heads. They got picked on one by one. I don't know what they're trying to aim for with the Olaf side laning there. I think it was a little extremely greedy. Jarvan has been ahead of the game for the most part, and just ulting on the Olaf kind of prevents everything that Olaf does, especially since the Olaf did get Ghost. They're pushing mid to see if they can get the bounty gold, and we'll see if the fight erupts here. Nope, they're just walking away.
Yeah, don't want to risk anything there, and I'm not shocked, right? You have to be very careful coming out now, because if you screw up, you know that the Wizards are going to be able to take these fights if you give them, if you allow them to, right? So you have to be very careful.
Yeah. We do see the Jacks finally getting, I think, their first bounty of the game when it comes to objective bounties. We also see that the Drake will be up in 27 seconds, Baron shortly after. No vision, real vision, on the side of Wizards, so it might be...
They might just get it. You can see the Jax is, yeah, they're pinging the tower. They're not actually going to risk this dragon. They might just try and find the prio onto the Baron. You can see Giannis clearing out this ward. And I think that this is the play too, right? Trading that soul point for the Baron, getting yourselves those extra items. You can see Kaisa finally has that Nashor's Tooth. You can see the Hui working on the Rabadons as well. Loose Lucky is able to get that tower. They did force the back out from Happier Cat as well, so they're just going to go for this Baron maybe. Well, the dragon's already down though, so maybe they're not going to be able to, but they have bought time officially, right? They've been able to scale this out. You do have to be worried, right? You do have the Jinx with that Runans now at 3 items, but you know, your carries have officially scaled. As far as we were talking about, right, how they get back into this game, this is how they get back into this game. However, the Kaisa was forced to back, as was the Jack, so now they have to fight their way into this Baron pit.
They're starting it. They do know that they're on it, using Hui's W or QW. Olaf is engaging.
Yeah, they're trying to find Valka, who tried to push up, but see, getting them off that Baron. They're no longer on that Baron. They see the vision here, using that Kaisa W as well. So they do know that they are no longer on Baron, just pushing in this mid lane to maybe try and find something. Roots a lot of good damage down onto that Braum, who you know is able to dodge a lot of it with the Unbreakable.
I think you just poke out on the side of Wizards. Hui.
Yeah,
Kaisa
I mean, that's
W.
what your comp is good at, right? So you can see just taking a lot of damage here. And if you're able to get them low before you're actually forced to fully engage that fight, that's exactly what you want here. Valka trying to hide out of that Mega Gnar, right? So not going to be able to go back into that for a while. So if you have an opening, right, like this is it, right? If you have, if you're looking for an opening, this is the one that you have. They're just going to keep trying to push in that mid lane, forcing them to answer this mid-tier 2 as more poke comes out. Luton also at half, Zira at half, poke down. You can see all of the poke coming out now, right? This was the intention of this comp, right? Using this range, just keeps throwing them in. And this is one of those changes in recent seasons that's actually helped a lot of these poke comps especially, is buffs for everyone, right? Everyone getting this blue buff means your Kaisa and your Hui can just throw out these spells 24/7, and everyone just has blue buff, right? They don't need to worry about that. A jump in from Loose Lucky, lands the stun, flash forward onto Dira now, looking for the engage, flash forward now on the dredge line, finally finds Zira, is gone. Valka, not quite in Megan, are getting chased down now. A jump in from Loose Lucky, but the flashback made it stunned up by the Braum passive, a little bit too aggressive. Luton needs this kill, needs to find it, needs to finish it off, and does with that Get Excited. Flashes forward for it, and now it's the Banana Man with the Spiraling Despair, but it's the Jinx taking over the fight. 21 goes in, finds Happier Cat and Master, is zoned out by that burn, zoned out by that Kaisa, but it's not going to be enough. Luton needs a little bit more and finds it, the pentakill for the Jinx to finish up this game, and Ronin will even up the score 1-1. It is all over. All that matters now is the minions. They already have one of those inhibitors towers open. Just a little bit more time to finish out the game, but really nice there. You can see this is what happens, right? When Jinx finally gets online, if you're not able to dive in, if you're not able to kill her, she will take over a fight. And just a little bit of over-aggression there, I think, from Loose Lucky is really what ended up finishing that one off.
Yeah, and I think that's just been the repeat theme of this game in particular. I think there are many times, maybe 3 or 4, where Wizards won the fight by chance or by luck or by skill. And unfortunately, maybe 20 seconds later, they throw it away. That glimmer of hope. We saw it with the Olaf splitting on the right, on the bot lane. We see it here again with Jax diving to get this Gnar. Again, the Gnar is not the issue, right? We know we kind of pointed out that the Jinx was a big issue, Brand was a big issue. You kill and assassinate the Jarvan. It's a 5v4.
And they don't have a jungler,
Baron.
right? Like they can't win that smite fight. So I just really, I think really that was just an overextension there that they really didn't have to do.
I agree, and I think good call on Luton. I think the Jax had to flash to not die by the Jinx ult. He was the only one that was like a sliver of health away from death. And a Luton making that brave call to flash forward, get that last auto into the Jax, and then proc Jinx's passive, and really just kind of turn the tides of that battle rather quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, really great play from the Ronin there. Even up the score 1-1. So not quite over yet. But yeah, this is what we said, right? No matter who wins, we expected this to be a very big back and forth. So when we come back, we're gonna cut it to a short break. When we come back, we will have game 3 ready for you guys in draft, ready to go. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game 3 drafts for our Sapphire matchup, the Wizards versus the Ronin. And like we said, neither team is going to go quietly. 1-1 evened up, so this one is for all the marbles right now.
Yeah, since Wizards lost that game, they do get side selection, and they have elected blue side. Gee, I wonder why. We'll see if Ronin end up banning Brand. That seems to be the priority pick here. As we do start seeing some of the bans, the Ivern against Standard from last few games, Scion Standard, waiting on anything that's different. But I kind of presume here that Brand will be banned.
Yeah, I mean, I think given the priority both teams have put on it and how prolific it's been in both of these games, I would not be surprised to see it banned out. I think also both teams are probably going to have to adapt, right? Like, these sort of one note game plan team compositions have clearly not been working out. You need a bit of flexibility around the map. You need some more winning lanes. You need a real way to a game plan to play towards that doesn't just fall apart the second your opponent interacts with it, right? So
Yeah,
I'm hoping to see better drafts from both teams in this game.
Yeah, as you say that, we still have the standard bans from both games. This will be the last ban. We'll see if it is. What was the previous ban? If it's the Poppy or not, and no, it's a Brand. Our first difference in the first phase of bans. On the Wizard side, I think Kai'So's pretty solid. It did a lot. I think it's blind worthy too. Not many other priority picks that I can think of off the top of my head.
No. Yeah, I think the biggest one here is that, like, when this Brand is banned out, what you're looking at is you're just making sure that, you know, can we secure early priority? Can we get a lot of this wave control? And that's really going to be, I think, the name of the game, right? Wave control has been a massive deal in both of these games. Being able to be first to the objective has been massive. And we do see the Kai'Sa locked in as that blue first pick. Not shocking at all, given that, you know, Wizards seem to really like it. They love having Master on that Kai'Sa. Has been very good on that. And it's going to be the Jinx locked in answered right back for Ronin. So seems like we're going same bot laners as last game. And I don't blame them. I think both bot laners did pretty well last game. I think a bit of overextension from Luton on the Jinx, but overall played that last fight really well. And I think Master did quite well on that Kai'Sa as well. So I don't think there's any real reason to swap that up. We'll see if we get any similar picks for Ronin, possibly the Jarvan early on, maybe a blind mid, maybe just locking in that Braum early on. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I would assume they go for a flex. They don't want to reveal their hand. The Poppy is still available. I'm not sure who picks it on their team. It has been banned the previous two games. Maybe this kind of opens up for a Poppy flex as we kind of wait. And it is the Poppy flex. Yeah, that's a good pick on their part. Not sure what the Wizards are going to elect here, as they don't know what position that Poppy is going. Ooh, and we do see the Blitzcrank locked in.
Yeah, all right, that's gonna be interesting. I like the Poppy. I like how you can get this flex out, but yeah, just the Blitzcrank blind is kind of insane, right? Like, knowing that you could still get hard countered by something like the Braum if they decide to flex this Poppy is very interesting. And we're going to see the Hecarim as well. And speaking of the Braum, they're hovering it. See if that ends up being locked in.
Yep, it is.
Oh, yep, there it is. So yeah, bit of a punish there. So lots of front line right now on the Ronin. They are going to need to see what this mid and jungle can do. It might just be, right, that Poppy is still a flex top and jungle. Right now it's not bad. And jungle, right? Pretty good against the Hecarim, but, you know, obviously that it also, especially if you're able to get this R4 mid laner, it dissuades any big jumping in the top lane, right? You can't really have that Gnar anymore, for example. You can't have the Jax anymore, or you're just gonna run into this Poppy and get hard countered. So really good Poppy pick, I think, dissuades a lot of potential. And if you're the Wizards, you also, I think you're kind of looking at the same thing as last game, right? You really want to get this way. You want some range. You have some good engage, so you want some range from your mid laners, some engage from your top laner. I think is the best way to round out this comp. So see what they end up going. It's gonna be the Victor banned out as well. So the Hui is still open.
Yeah, and they might go for it. I think the way Ronin is playing this draft by removing some of the mid lane threats, they are, I think, going to blind the mid lane here, preserving that Poppy flex and then saving top for counter pick. You're right. I think Hui might be a good option here. LeBlanc, I think, is a good option here as well. You see that Narban coming in last, but I think what you really do need is some sort of like not battle mage, but like a spellcaster mage. Sinja works fine. And we'll see what Ronin select. But I am assuming an AP mage. Come on, let's see if my guess is correct. Syndra.
I think a Syndrome would be quite a good pick here. Morgana.
Whoa.
Yes, the Happier Cat special, baby. The Morgana mid Happier Cat special. Pulling it out in the game 3.
Wow,
This
that
is,
does open up way for Wizards.
Yeah, I do like this though. I like the additional both utility and support that this provides, as well as some good damage, especially with how much CC you have. The ability to just lock people into these pools is going to be a lot. Is very strong. And yeah, we are just going to see the Hui come out.
I think a note to that Morgana pick too. You can Black Shield the Blitzcrank hook, right?
Yeah, that's
it's
going to
there.
be huge. I mean, you already had the Braum already being able to shield that, so I feel like now it's going to be insanely hard for that Blitzcrank to get value, and we're just going to see the Cassante locked in. This is something that's been played quite a bit for a good reason. Very strong, very prolific pick. Good into the blind, can be good into the Poppy. Well, not great into the Poppy, but can be good into the Poppy. It's fine, right? It's a fine pick. I think there are better options, but I think this one overall is fine. Ronin now have to decide if they want to send this Poppy into the top side to deal with the Cassante, or if they want to send it to the jungle and maybe get a different top lane pick. Something similar maybe to the Renekton has been a very strong answer we've seen into the Cassante. The Udyr has been a good, and there's the Udyr, as I say that, has been very strong to the Cassante as well. So I'd imagine that this is probably going to be an Udyr top lane, given what we've seen from these teams, but it could it could just as easily be an Udyr jungle, right? Like, it's not mandatory. I just think that personally, Valka is someone who would probably prefer this Udyr.
Yeah, interesting lineup on the side of Ronin for sure. I think for Wizards, it's pretty standard. You have a tank top, engage jungle, engage support, and damage dealing mid bot. I think pretty more standard comp. Compared to the set of Ronin, very different. Then we're gonna mid, the Udyr top, a little bit more AP on their solo laners, but honestly not too bad considering you have a Poppy jungle and the threat of a Jinx reset. Who are you favoring here in this game 3?
Yeah, I definitely I want to give it to the Wizards just because they have, like I said, a lot more of a flexible game plan, which seems to have been something that's been a lot more favorable. Ronin are very all in on this Jinx, right? If that Jinx goes down, you have very few ways to actually win that fight. So you are massive balls of health and a Morgana, and that's fine. But if you're against like a Cassandra and a Blitzcrank that are still alive, even if you get like a Kai'Sa, if you get the Hecarim Hui or Kai'Sa, either one just free hitting into your giant health bars, it's going to be very hard to actually deal with. That being said, if that Jinx is able to pop off in that fight, and you still have your tank line available, it's going to be very, very hard to stop her. So I really do think this game could go either way.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think looking at the side of Ronin, there's not really big hard engage tools, right? You have the Poppy for her ultimate and maybe her stun, Morgana stun, but not really a hard initiator like Hecarim ult, the Blitzcrank hook. So I think Ronin should be playing a little more passively, waiting for them to kind of engage on them. But I feel like the past 2 games, the team that kind of has better team fight has ended up losing the game. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a fair assumption to make. But I think the biggest thing here is that like a lot of this game is going to be priority on objectives, right? If you are not
Yeah.
first to the dragon, it is going to be incredibly hard to fight your way in, regardless of what team comp you have. Both team comps are very good at controlling space once they have it.
You think so? I feel like Ronin might have a hard time. I think if they're all 5 of them are on dragon, Hecarim could ult, Cassandra could ult someone out. As I say that, my cat kind of knocked some stuff over.
The cat, you know what? Hey, sometimes Yumi just comes and messes everything up.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think she's telling us to cut it to a break, so we're gonna head out. When we come back, we will be in game 3. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game 3, Wizards versus Ronin. This is the final game. Decides whoever wins, right? Best of 3. So I'm hoping for a banger. We are seeing another stack to possibly dodge out on this invade. I don't think we've seen a single invade this game, but we've seen 2 stacks twice just to make sure that nothing happens. But no risk here, and we are gonna see it is going to be the Udyr top lane like we thought.
Yep, I think they're all just kind of huddling in there in case the Blitzcrank comes in, but they're gonna disperse again quite soon. Meanwhile, we can look at the summoner spells and the keystones here. It looks pretty standard for the most part. Yeah, nothing really different to note. We'll see if both junglers again elect to start topside and work their way bot. I know last game they did that, but there isn't really much action going on. It looks like the junglers kind of prioritize top and mid more, and so we'll see if that holds true once more.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is we really need to be watching this sort of jungle setup, right? If Kathanas is going to be able to get this early Hecarim lead like he was previously, or if Zebra's going to be able to stop that and use this Poppy to really be able to deny that early game, you know, I think top lane is going to be pretty obvious how it's going to go, right? Udyr is just going to kind of win for the first couple minutes, and then once you have those Cassandra items online, you get a little bit stronger. Bot lane should be interesting. I think it's really going to come down to a skill matchup, right? If 21 is going to be able to find these early hooks, these early picks, or if Deer is going to be able to block those out, put up that shield, and stop them from getting any early advantage here.
Yeah, as we say that, Luton and Deer do get level 2 advantage here, and we'll see if 21 can get a hook, but it looks like he just misses.
Yeah.
We do see, compared to last game though, Hecarim does have the farming advantage this time around. And since Luton and Dira are pushing really hard, we'll see if they kind of bounce the wave back or play it safe in anticipation for this Hecarim, who should be there in about 30 seconds, give or take.
Yeah, I do think that we might see a fight down here. We'll see. Hecarim obviously a lot faster on this clear, so should be able to show up to that gank, show up to that Scuttle Crab first. But we'll see. They do have a ward there in the Tribush, so they will be able to spot that Hecarim if he comes around for a gank.
Yeah, and both wards have been pinged as well, so both teams are aware that the other team does have vision there. And as we say that, Hecarim does go top towards Banana to kind of avoid that vision, and is looking at this mid lane.
Yeah, looking for potential mid lane gank, waiting to see if Happier Cat walks in. Is spotted out there, I think. He's gonna
Definitely.
get not quite collapsed on, but just backing right now. Looks like just gonna give that bottom Scuttle Crab over to Zebra and head towards the top side Scuttle Crab.
Wow, interesting play. I thought the Hecarim might have just E'd over mid lane, going towards Scuttle, but instead goes all the way back, maybe fearing for the Udyr flank potentially, and getting
nice root
first
there
round.
from Happier Cat, but yeah, this is the thing about the Poppy, right? It's you don't have any real dashes or insane gap close other than Eing to like a minion like we saw, so it's very easy for the play to just throw out that EQ, fear you, and then back off.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a big thing here, especially to watch right now, is the Hecarim just backing, getting that longsword and boots, can be able to speed up his clear quite significantly going into that sort of second clear, whereas the Poppy is just trying to get that Raptors, maybe the Krugs, and then back. So Hecarim should be a little bit quicker back to bot lane, I think is going to be a big thing, right? If you're able to get an early bot lane gank, if you're able to get this Kai'Sa ahead, it's going to be able to open up those dragon opportunities a lot more.
Yeah. Yep. Poppy finishing up the Krugs, now backing for her first buy. Hecarim is on Wolves, going towards Raptors, and we'll see if they're going to prioritize this dragon. We have seen the blue side prioritizing the Void Grubs. And I guess we'll see how this top lane matchup fares, because that might also dictate the priority given to the Void Grubs.
Yeah, definitely. I'd imagine that what happens with the second gank rate, like we're gonna get another Warden Tribrush, so might not be able to get this, but I imagine both teams want to start playing for some form of objective early, right? Like the Poppy is not weak earlier. The Udyr is not weak early, you know, neither is the Sacrum, so I'd imagine we want to see something early on. You can see Valka shoving in that top side, so potentially just looking for maybe enough damage that and enough of a trade that they can just force into this Void Grubs. You can see Kathanas is already running towards top side. And the Dragon actually started up now for Ronin, so they do have to be careful. Happier Cat is forced off, does have the TP if they want to TP back, but it looks like the Wizards are just going to back off, and I'd have to imagine this is just going to be an attempted Void Grub for Dragon trade as per usual. Thanos going in. A nice little insect there back from Lose Lucky, but he doesn't manage to get the ult off in time. Valkyrie Fenrika pops the ghost. Thanos does as well, trying to get them back in, but a really nice hook there from 21, and the Ignite's going to finish off Dira for first blood.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing timing there, because there were minions being aggroed by the turret, but I think as Blitzcrank queued, Dira's Q also landed on Blitzcrank.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be there's Void Grub secured for the Wizards. Just want to take out this ward, stop Happier Cat from maybe stealing something else. They do have to be a bit careful, right? Poppy is around here. Udyr should be able to get Prio relatively soon. Second Void Grub now. The fleet comes out, but Dira is up here. They might just be forced back off. It's going to be the Soul Shackles now on the Banana Man, who doesn't have Flash, and there is really no way out of it at this point. The Banana Man just walking up a bit too aggressively there, not respecting the Morgana to just be able to walk up, land those Soul Shackles, and stun you up, right?
Yep. Time and time again, we have people trying to get an advantage, get the advantage, and then lose the advantage by staying too long or greedying. And in this case, it was Banana Man paying for their sins. I will say though, so before the Scuttle fight, I was a little skeptic about Lucky, as he was faring not too well, considering down a teleport and low on health. But I think with all that Dragon Grub Hub fighting, and with Udyr not using teleport, actually is able to take a sizable advantage in the CS department.
Yeah. And I think a big thing here, right, especially since we saw it from Happier Cat, is the ability to put the black shield on yourself and just sort of walk at your opponents, especially when you have that backup of the Poppy, of the Braum, that they can't really return as much damage back onto you, and you can put a lot of pressure out there just by existing, right? If you land a root onto a priority target, they're pretty much always dead, or they're going to have to burn a lot of resources to keep them alive, right? You don't have that same tank line. You have a Blitzcrank, you do have the Cassante, but that's not the same as having something like a Braum, as having something like the Udyr that can really heavily slow people down.
Yeah, no, I agree. As we see the state of the game, top being pushed, and the Hecarim might be engaging here.
Yeah, good little play from Kathanas there. A really nice knockback from Zebra. One more auto on a Kathanas will stun him off, but it's not quite able to get it. The slow from the smite makes sure that Dira can't land that last auto. And even though there was a lot of good plays there, really nice keeper's verdict from Zebra makes sure that there's nothing more to be had.
Yeah, and I think Dira did flash and was so close in locking in that Hecarim, but unfortunately, due to, I think, vision, wasn't able to.
No, definitely not. Now a 1v1 in the mid lane. A flea out there. Happier Cat does get the stun off. The Banana Man forced to dodge out there, but not able to return anything else. And that's something about this Morgana, right? If you're not able to follow up on that Soul Shackles with a root or a pool, it doesn't actually do anything, right? The damage is not that crazy, so the Banana Man just using that Spiraling Despair and a Fear combo to make sure Happier Cat can't get anything extra.
Yeah, and as we see this Poppy
Zebra.
going bot.
Yeah, 21 lands a hook on Nadira, but that might have just been worse. Glacial Fissure now does land on a 21. Master was able to flash out. 21 now with the flash out as well. Superman Death Rocket goes wide, doesn't hit anybody. It's going to be the Wizards bot lane completely out there. Now 1v1 on the top side. Loose Lucky looking on to Valka. Does get some good damage here, but it's kind of a wet noodle tank fight right now. Loose
Mhm.
Lucky not willing to go all out, not willing to insect that back. Doesn't think he can get the kill quite yet, so.
Yeah, good flashes, both on Master and 21 there. They do need to play a little bit more safely, considering Poppy could regank. We do see Dragon up in a minute, and I believe Void Grub's coming out. Is it 30 seconds or a minute 30 seconds? Relatively soon.
Yeah, should be, I think it's 30 seconds. I'm trying to get the timer. I wasn't quite good on that. You can see Kathanas does see Zebra on his Raptors, just going for the Scuttle now. It's going to be the Banana Man jumped on by Zebra. Gonna use that speed to get out, uses the Flea, but Zebra's already in an amazing spot for that. Needs one more auto. Should be able to take it out, and the Banana Man goes down.
Well
This is
done.
something we've seen a lot. The Banana Man just constantly walking up and getting caught where he really doesn't belong. But speaking of getting caught out where you don't belong, Happier Cat thought he was safe with his jungler in the mid lane, but Kathanas just needs to run up and grab it. Zebra now does use the Keeper's Verdict, but a really nice onslaught of shadows from Kathanas puts him into unstoppable and makes sure that he doesn't get knocked back. A double kill now for the Hecarim. Just going to rotate on up to that Void Grubs. Once again, one was already taken for the Ronin, so no 6 Void Grubs, but still, getting 5 here is really good. And especially now that 21 is back in that bot side, you can't trade that dragon for it. So this is just a free round of Void Grubs, and the Wizards are going to be able to reset and potentially look for that dragon fight.
Yeah, probably just spawn, heading bot now. Morgana heading back mid. Hecarim should be able to finish this quite soon, and as he does, he should back, unless they're okay with giving up this Ocean Drake. We see Hecarim backing, and the bot lane of Ronin moving over to the Ocean Drake.
Yeah. I think this is a really good setup from Ronin, and I'm kind of surprised that it took so long for Wizards to sort of respond to this. We'll see.
Oh, Jinx
Not
goes away.
great. Leighton going back towards bot lane. We'll see.
K'Sante has
should be able
teleport.
to late. But yeah, K'Sante has TP. Thana's coming back now and engaged now from the... oh my god, he stole it! Katana stole the dragon. That is dragon now over to Wizards, and the fight comes out. The Glacial Fisher misses onto 2. Happier Cat goes down. Dira goes down. Luton, the last one alive, but it doesn't matter because Loose Lucky is just going to TP in to make sure he can find that plank. I think completely unnecessary if I'm being completely honest. But it's going to be the Banana Man TPing back top to make sure that not even plays get taken by Valka. Not even one plate. Really
Well done
amazing
on the
there from
side.
Wizards. They give nothing for that.
I will say half of it definitely is on the Wizards for committing to that play and going for that steal. I think half of that is on the side of Ronin. I don't know what they were thinking there. I think the initial setup was good, but when we saw that Jinx walking away to farm, that just spelled trouble, especially since earlier we saw the Udyr burn teleport just to get top. Lots of macro decisions there on the favor for Wizards.
Yeah, Luton going back to bot lane there for seemingly no... Like, you have the vision. You know that Master and 21 are like, thinking about walking up. If you go, that gives them the go-ahead that they get to walk in, because you know you can't walk back into that Blitzcrank. If you get hooked, you just die. So now you're completely zoned out of the fight because you've committed to going bot lane. You have the worry constantly that the Banana Man and Kathanas can just walk in and take it, and that's exactly what they did. Wizards dragging up on the board.
Yeah, and then we do see here that it is again once more Hex Tech Soul, which is big for both sides. It allows them to get the objectives a little bit more faster with the Hex Tech gates, and I think really important for this Hecarim too, who's already speeding up.
Yeah, all out now from Loose Lucky, looking for potential dive onto Valkyrie Fenrico, but way too tanky to actually worry about that. And I think this is what we've been seeing a lot of, right? It's just a sort of wet noodle tank fight in the top lane, both of them trading damage, but you can see a lot of damage now coming through from that benefit of the all out. But now that Valka is back to normal, you can see healing up off that unending despair. Loose Lucky no longer with the all out. Now getting chased down by Valka Fenrica, potentially with the stun, but Zebra is here, potentially looking for something. Kathanas as well, It's going to be junglers fighting over there, top laners fighting over there. Zebra
Ooh.
does whiff the Keeper's Verdict, though, and the Onslaught of Shadows backing onto 2. Loose Lucky now trying to find a pickup. Kathanas is going to be the one with all the damage, and he does manage to get that kill. Valkyrie trying to trade back, though, onto Loose Lucky. Happier Cat now is up here, does manage to get that Black Shield onto Kathanas, but it's the Banana Man who gives the speed up to his teammate. Loose Lucky trying to dodge off. The Soul Shackles are good. A stun onto 1. The pool might be enough. We'll see if the damage coming out. The Super Mega Death Rocket goes wide through the entire fight. Kathanas now chasing down onto Happier Cat, trying to get more. The pool is not going to be damage. And the pull back in onto Loose Lucky. Valkyrie trying to trade out 1, but he's not going to be able to find it. The Banana Man picks up an extra kill, and it's a 3-0 in favor of the Wizards. Now going to be able to look towards that free Rift Herald.
Good sequence events put there. Good flash from Cassante. I think they were so much more coordinated. And we were kind of talking about this earlier. If Morgana misses her binding, or if she Black Shields, she's kind of useless at that point. And we saw her use a Black Shield on herself. Sorry, not on herself, on the Udyr, with the Q. And at that point, it kind of opens up the doors for this Hecarim, for this Wave, for this Cassante to kind of just ignore the Morgana there and kind of go on to whoever was low health. And at that point, just a domino effect. But great play there on the side of Wizards.
Yeah, I imagine that if you're the Ronin, you thought, you know, oh, you had this play, I'm going to back it up. But the second Zebra saw Kathanas, with how big of a lead this Hecarim has, I think you just back off. I don't think you really need to fight that, right? Even Happier Cat rotated up, but clearly does not have the damage yet. Does need that second burnt item online. And with the dragon up in a minute, I think it's going to be very hard for Ronin to fight their way into this. And if you're Ronin, you probably just concede the second dragon and look for the potential side lane tower.
Yes, I agree. And I think a small little thing to note, before all that fight happened at top lane, I don't know if you saw, but Poppy was trying to get to this top lane fast and actually use W to get there faster. This kind of allowed the Hecarim to use E, dash around, have a little bit more mobility to kind of navigate around that Poppy ultimately. But just small things like that, that's kind of important to note in our future fights here.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, you can see the items now coming through for the ADCs, but the big one here is that Kai'Sa is now sort of a bit more accelerated towards that Ginsu's because of all these assists she's been getting, and a couple of the plates. Now we see a fight in the bot side. A really nice Keeper's Verdict, though, to knock back Kathanas, making sure that he can't get that Onslaught of Shadows and continue the fight. But yeah, Dira forced to flash back because of that Spiraling Despair, gets taken very, very low, and now there really is no chance to fight this dragon, and you can't even get a side lane tower for it, right? Just completely punished, losing a drag, not getting anything back for it, and Wizards are definitely pretty far in the driver's seat at this point.
Yeah, as they do secure that Hextech Drake. Yep, we're approaching almost the 20-minute mark. The Wizards up by about 3,000 and some change, and letting down the Herald. Now on the flip side here, Ronin. How do you win this fight? How do you win the next game here? The next big fight, as we see Poppy engaging on this way.
Well, this is certainly one way to do it, is make sure you punish Banana Man for his hubris that he is constantly shown. And yeah, just not a great showing here for Banana Man in a lot of these games, quite honestly. Just stepping a bit too far forward, and with Banana Man down, that opens up Happier Cat and Zebra to rotate towards this bot side and make sure that they can't actually siege out on this tier 2 turret, right? But, you know, one tower and an extra, you know, half damage onto that tier 2 isn't the worst thing in the world. You prefer if you got a little bit more value, but you're not complaining. But yeah, the Banana Man really needs to start relaxing in that mid lane, keeping that vision up, and keeping in mind that he can't just walk up without flash. Happier Cat can just walk you down, right? Can just pop those soul shackles, slow you up, stay on you, make sure you're stunned, and if the jungler is there, you're just dead. There's really nothing that you can do about that. So has to sort of keep his distance, maintain it. And again, another big thing to note, especially for Ronin, the entire advantage is on this Hecarim.
Yeah. No, that's very true. But to be fair, I think the only thing that can stop this Hecarim is a Poppy ult. Maybe the Morgana binding for sure. But that one's easier to dodge, as we've seen countless fights in this game. Kathanas was able to kind of just sidestep. I don't know if they have a way to stop this Hecarim.
I think the biggest way you stop this Hecarim is you wait for him either, to use that E and maybe hit a binding, or, walk into the Glacial Fissure, get a stun. Another way to do it would just be, get a Braum auto, and just have your Jinx auto him until he's stunned, then CC him to death. Wait until he's near a wall, get Zebra to push him into that wall and stun. Because once the Hecarim does get CC'd, it's actually very easy to take him out. He's going for a very squishy build, and as I say that, speaking of squishy, Luton is also very squishy. Kathanas goes in with that Onslaught of Shadows, gets it out, but this is what we were talking about, the CC, right? Once that Hecarim does get CC'd, it's actually very easy to start running him down, slowed up, needs a couple more autos for the CC, but goes back in, and it's going to be the shutdown, but onto the Braum of all people, not what you want to see. Meanwhile, on the bot side, it's going to be Happier Cat 1v1ing the Banana Man, and it's going to be Master who actually wins that fight in the mid lane, flying in with that Killer Instinct, was able to take out Zebra first, Luton and Dira shortly following after. They did manage to get that shutdown though, finally. Unfortunately, it was onto that Braum, not that Jinx, and that's really, really unfortunate. That was a 1,000 gold shutdown.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, you called it spot on. They weren't able to kill the Jinx early on. Great ultimate by Cathonis. He kind of timed it with the Poppy ultimate. But unfortunately, after all of that was over, they were able to kind of turn around the fight and almost killed them 2-0. Fortunately for Wizards, Master came in the nick of time, got the W, was able to ult in and kind of clean up the mess that was happening in the mid lane. Off to the side, though, we did see
nothing happening.
Oh,
Absolutely nothing happening. It's
Yeah,
so
you're
funny to
right.
watch. It's so funny to just watch these. Like, you can see like a 1 death on the Udyr, but that was from a 3v3, right? 2 assists from the 3v3. These players are not doing anything to each other. You can see Loose Lucky rushing the Kanik, Valka rushing the Unending Despair, and now the Thimblewinter. There is really nothing that these tanks can actually do to each other. They're just kind of hitting each other, farming up in that top side. That 3v3 allowed Loose Lucky to get a bit of wave control for a while, so he is up, about 30 CS, but that's not from winning 1v1s. That's not from anything significant. Meanwhile, on the bot side, we do see the Unending Despair come out, but the damage from Happier Cat with those Soul Shackles, with that W is insane. And the Banana Man really has to stop going for these 1v1s. I don't think he's won a single one yet. Now, though, Happier Cat does get the silence. A really nice play from the Blitzcrank there. For those of you who don't know, Blitzcrank ultimate does break shields. That does also count the Black Shield. So Black Shield getting taken out and then immediately hooked. Master with the one picking up that kill. And yeah, Wizards.
Sorry.
Now that the advantage isn't fully on to that Hecarim, now that you do have that Kai'Sa pretty far ahead, I think that's a big opening for you, right? You're not as worried about your Hecarim getting taken out now because your Kai'Sa can carry these fights, right? And if you're the Ronin, you really need Jinx with items, right? You're not even 2 items on this Jinx yet, 23 minutes into the game. Soul Point now fighting out. Meanwhile, I say this, Loose Lucky flashing forward, might finally be able to take it out, and the tanks finally happen. That is a certified Cassante moment right there, turning all those resists into damage. Is able to get the 1v1 onto Valka Fenrika, is able to push in that top side, does still have the TP, right? So it doesn't have the all out anymore, but with 4 people there, you have full control for Wizards over that dragon. And we are going to see the TP from Happier Cat. They don't even want to fight this dragon, they just want to stop from getting the top tower. And it is now Soul Point for the Wizards.
Yeah, there was a long fight there. I was laughing initially because we had the Udyr and Cassante kind of fighting for a good 30 seconds. I saw the Poppy kind of walking over, seeing the 2 tanks and kind of just walking away, which is really funny for me. What we missed in the mid lane though was the Poppy did ult the Hecarim out. They were able to get a mid lane turret there. But unfortunately, that was really all that they could get with the Cassante winning over Udyr, having teleport advantage. Yeah, and they kind of gave it up, and now Wizards are on Soul Point, but this Morgana might be in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, well, I don't think really any trouble, right? You just put up that Black Shield, you run around with Soul Shackles, there's really nothing you can do. And yeah, Loose Lucky without the all-out isn't actually a threat like we saw. Valka, did end up dying, did not put respect on the damage you can get from that all-out, but if Cassandra doesn't have that all-out, it doesn't really do damage, doesn't really have to worry about anything. I will say, Happier Cat finally finished with both those burn items, now building into the Zanyas. Jinx now finally with the Infinity Edge and the Runans. Probably needs 1 more item to realistically do this. I'd imagine this is the LDR, the Mortal Reminder. That should help a lot, but yeah, it's really hard, right? Master already on that 3-item spike. You already have 3 items on your Hecarim. Loose Lucky is just building into tank, so the gold value doesn't matter as much, but it can be building into this Thornmail relatively quickly. And it's really hard, right? Like, a lot of your gold, unironically, a good chunk of your gold, especially from those shutdowns, and a lot of these kills and assists is on your support, right? Like, you just don't have the damage if you're the Ronin to cut through the wizards before they can just burst you down.
Yeah, it's also important to note too that the big item discrepancy in the jungle. Hecarim has so many kills, is up by 62 CS, and is also item ahead. And that just goes to show how dominant the Wizards have been the past 15 minutes. I was gonna say it was a slow start to the game. We only had like 2-3 kills in the first 8 minutes, but things have really ramped up as we see Wizards actually starting off the Baron, but Ronin do have an idea. Great hook by 21.
Over the wall. Yeah, and Zebra, you can see, tries the Keeper's Verdict there to knock Katana's back, and does buy a little bit of time, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough. Without your jungler, there is really no chance for you to do anything, and you can see, once again, up in the top side, Valka and Loose Lucky in the wave against each other. Loose Lucky is up quite a bit of CS now at this point, though, almost 50. 21, stunned over the wall by a Happier Cat, almost dies, but doesn't have to worry that much about it. Master going in 1v3, exhausted up, and Luton lives on 1 HP, gets the shutdown, and I imagine Master just wants to realize, hey, this game's a little bit too easy. I gotta make it a bit interesting here.
Oh my, that is a 650 gold shutdown to the Jinx. I sure you burned the barrier of Jinx, but Flash is still up.
That's not worth it. That is, I know you're trying to find a bright side. There's no universe where that is worth it. That is,
that's tough.
Master just not showing any respect there. And you can see, it does get punished for it. Drag up in 1 minute and 30 does mean that if they can get just a little bit more gold onto this Jinx to finish this Mortal Reminder before the fight, they're going to be in a lot better of a situation, right? Now, if they can't get that, it's going to be rough, but if Jinx can get this 3rd item, if they can just hold on just a little bit longer until this soul fight, they might actually be able to start bringing it back, right? Especially if Master keeps making plays like that.
Yeah.
That being said, it's still risky though, right? You have 3 items now on this K'Sante. You're working on your 4th for the Kai'Sa. It's still a pretty significant gold lead, right? It is still about a 6,000 gold lead, just gaining and gaining as this Baron goes on.
Yeah, and we do see Dragon is going to come up in 50 seconds. This is Soul for the Wizards. K'Sante is pushing top pretty hard. Someone does need to go and answer him. We see the Udyr following suit. Morgana, Happy Cat falling back. Jinx backing. Maybe we'll see this LDR purchase now. As she backs, let's give it a couple more seconds. And yep, it's the Mortal Reminder.
There it is. All right, having that item finished, they're going to be a bit late to the drag, but having that item finished on your Jinx is a massive deal. Thanks to the Hextech portals as well, you're not actually that late, right? You get to just fly in, cut a lot of that running out, but they do need to rejoin. Valka, Fenrika, and Loose Lucky, both with the TP. You can see, though, Valka down, doesn't even have level 16 yet. Greenmile, top laner of the enemy, is level 17. You can see the TP now from Valka trying to join up with his team. Luton trying to get the damage down. Loose Lucky in, trying to find the pick onto Zebra, knocks back into a wall. The Unending Despair comes out onto Dira. And knock back in, goes all out. Valk Fenrika trying to kite back, but the Onslaught of Shadows onto 5 from Kathanas. Zebra does go into the backline, trying to get a little bit more. A triple kill for Master, a quadra kill for Master. Can we get a second penta of the game?
Wow.
Master looking for more. 2 pentas in the series would be insane. They
Watch it flash.
Banana Man does go forward. They want this so badly. The slow onto Valka Fenrika, and 21 over the wall hooks him back in. Valka Master flashes over, trying to get a little bit more damage out, and there it is. The second pentakill of the series for Master. That should be Soul as well. And a shame they chased that for so long that the death timers are a bit too long to actually end the game, which they probably could have. But I think they wanted the penta. They wanted it for the stats, and now they've secured Soul. Hopefully they should be able to end off this. Ronin do get one more chance that they didn't end the game here, but after that fight, with all that gold difference, with 5 extra kills onto this Kai'Sa, it is going to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, we'll see her finish the item. Yep, Zanya's purchased right off the bat here.
And
Up
probably
now, 9.
Rabadon's too there. Gets an
Yeah,
extra
needlessly
large
large.
rod. So much gold.
And they're
So
up
much
by
gold.
9k. I think at this point, you don't even have to wait for the Baron. I guess you can. I think you kind of push your advantage to top and jungle. I mean, top and mid. Clear out the vision there. And honestly, with Hextech Soul, again, kind of like last game, just poke. Let that soul proc just a ton of damage. Will them down, because I don't think they can really answer that.
No, certainly not. I mean, you have the Baron up in a minute 30, right? Like, they have the soul now, but, like, I think that's going to be the fight, right? That's going to probably decide the game if you're Wizards. Ronin probably going to need a lot more than just that one fight, but now we can see a pick trying to find on the Loose Lucky in the top side, but Loose Lucky goes all out. Now in the 1v3, getting so much damage. Cassante trying to 1v3. Now you can finally see the Onslaught of Shadows come through, but it's actually going to be Luton with the first kill. Happier Cat with a second. Now it's 21 caught out. Master goes in, trying to find Luton, goes into the Killer Instinct, does manage to dive into the back line. Might go down for it, though. Happier Cat trying to find a little bit more damage. 21 though with the hook. The stun now finally comes out, and the pool finishes it off. It's actually going to be Dira with the shutdown. Unfortunately, not going on to one of those carries, but it is going to be the ace for the Ronin. Little bit too aggressive there. Loose Lucky thought he had a pick. Cathanas comes to save him, but goes way too far. And now you can see this is their opportunity to get these towers. 3 pushing into the top side. Happier Cat TPs to split in the bot side. Baron up in 45 seconds. And this is what Ronin needed, right? Like I said, you know, I don't think Baron ended the game if they were Ronin. But now, with all these towers, with this extra gold value, and seeing those death timers, it just might. This Baron is going to be by far the most important fight of the game. And Ronin are going to have to show up in the same way that they just did.
Yeah, getting those 2 towers did cut the lead by an additional 1.8k approximately. So good call, I'd say, for Happier Cat to teleport there just to get that second bounty gold. Looks like they still have bounty gold available. Not that it really matters, as Baron will be the focus. I assume will be the final fight.
Yeah. The Baron's up. It doesn't look like they're super hard on contesting this. Luton way too far up in the mid lane, gets caught out by Cathanas.
No.
And with your ADC down, that's pretty much over. They're going to try and see if they can get anything, but giving over this Baron, they're not going to be able to end with 4 members still alive on Ronin, but they're going to be able to get this Baron. And it's all going to be on Zebra for a potential steal if they want to stop the snowball from rolling. They have the Elder up in 2 minutes 30 as well. But this Baron should hopefully allow them to siege. They still have another 25 seconds on the enemy ADC. With Luton down, there is really nothing that can be done. So they're just going to start pinging these towers. You can see, don't even want to like all mid and end the game. They're just going to start splitting this, getting as many objectives as possible, knowing that if they keep the pressure on, there is really nothing that Ronin can do. And this has kind of been the story of this game, is Luton just getting caught out over and over and over again. Right? And it feels a lot less like capitalizing on good picks and more like mispositioning from a lot of these carries. You can see Velka walking up as well, slowed up, shielded back, Loose Lucky pulling him back with the all-out. The Unending Despair goes out. A Happier Cat chained up, does manage to get the Soul Shackles off in time to force him out, but Cathanas goes in with the Onslaught of Shadows and finishes off Happier Cat. Now Zebra in the middle of 3, Loose Lucky still all out. Finally it runs out, but Zebra getting so low. Master and 21 both very low as well though, and with that amazing Keeper's Verdict that might have just stopped the push in its tracks, forcing backs out of the Wizards. But Elder is up in 1 minute and 30 seconds. So much gold value down, losing so much pressure on your towers, and yet Ronin still has a chance. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, we'll see what Wizards elect to do here. Elder is up in 1 minute 15 seconds. I don't think they want a 50-50. They do have the Baron advantage here. They're going to set it up. And if they don't go for a push, I guess they will wait it out. Still some time left for this Baron. I think 1.5 minutes. I'd say you go for that mid lane. Tower is almost down. Get that inhibitor. Let in super minions push and then grab Elder. It will be a little bit tighter or harder to find a pick in the mid lane. But it seems like they're just gonna give up the pressure. Hecarim and Cassante kind of focusing on jungle farming. Cassante now pushing the bot lane.
And an interesting thing to note, Kai's actually not going for the Rabadons, just going for the Shadow Flame. I imagine because it's just a little bit cheaper. And on that last back, they almost ran out of gold. So I'd imagine this is just to make sure that they have a full 5 items before that final fight, right? Just making sure they can get whatever they need. But also, you know, you also get, you know, that extra amplified spell crit damage onto low health enemies, which, given the way fights have been going, is very relevant. Elder now up in 5 seconds. Have Your Cat needs to rejoin with his team. They need to find a way in. This is very dangerous territory here.
Meanwhile, they are poking them away. There's not much vision for Wizards to see where they're entering from. Okay, a ward has been placed down by Blitzcrank.
Yeah, the Keeper's Verdict now coming out. Forces the Cassante out of the fight, and this is what they need. Root goes wide from Happier Cat. Spiraling Despair onto Valka takes out a lot of damage, and it's Master with the first kill. But Luton has been able to fire back this entire fight. Finally now excited. An extra kill down goes down. Who's lucky? Knocks 2 in. The Onslaught of Shadows. A double kill for Master. The Banana Man not even going down. The shield keeps him alive. Zebra the last one alive, trying to run away. Kathana's just chasing it down. And an amazing play for Master there. An amazing Onslaught of Shadows. The Elder finished up. Master finished up. And the game finished up. Wizards in 36 minutes are going to take the series 2-1. It is just a matter of time. They need to knock down these turrets, but that will be all she wrote for the Ronin.
Yeah, I gotta say it. A good try by the Ronin to kind of bring this back up, especially in that fight top side there. But ultimately, that pick off of Luton really was the pivotal moment, kind of snowballed everything, and kind of set up a great success for the side of Wizards.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, unfortunately, I did have Ronin winning this. Wizards, I was not familiar with your game. Amazing plays there, I think, from a lot of the team. But Master, in all of these games, has just been so incredible seeing them play. And definitely, I think, is my personal MVP for this series. Kathanas as well played quite well. Top laner played quite well, especially filling in for Rindo, who we've had some issues with. 21, also really phenomenal on support. I gotta be real. The Banana Man, not quite it. Getting caught out in a lot of these fights was definitely the weak point for the team. Was able to land a lot of damage, right? Just did play a lot of those late game fights quite well. But I think going into these future weeks, right, Wizards are a very strong team. And if the Banana Man can sort of shore up a lot of those mistakes, I think they will be the undisputed best. But I think there still are some question marks around getting caught out and the way that they have been losing some of these games. That being said, still shout out, like, really great play from all of them tonight. And Ronin, I love to see Happier Cat. I love to see that Morgana. I will have to say, Luton cannot be getting caught out like this if they want to win series. Just so many misplays and missteps from their carry cost them so many fights.
Yeah, I agree. And I know there's that big pivotal one in the mid lane. I think that's just been the story for games 2 and 3. I think a lot of the teams who were kind of going into the fight at a disadvantage pick up a small win and kind of become too overzealous and enforcing their somewhat micro advantage at the time and kind of pushing that further. Cost them a lot. I think it's still mistakes that can be easily patched up, right? I think for both teams, really, they kind of need to tighten up their macro decisions, because there are times where many of these fights, people are doing different things, or they're not setting up correctly, and two team members are kind of approaching the fights differently. But I think we're really early in the season. There's still time to fix these things, and I'm kind of excited to see how these two teams will fare as we approach later on into the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think both teams, though, played a hell of a series tonight, and can go home. I'd say, maybe some individual players need to work on it, but I'd say as a team can go home happy knowing that you played a hell of a series, and that these coming weeks are going to be a good way to improve on the mistakes made tonight. I think both teams should be going back and VOD reviewing, seeing where they can improve, but I think there are a lot of areas to improve. I think a lot of mistakes were made, but I also think that the core, the fundamentals, the macro from both teams was really good. I think they were both showing up to objectives, pretty much when they needed. Some really great rotations coming out, some cross mapping, when you were in a side lane, when to go for grubs, when to just trade objectives. It really did look yeah, quite good from both teams on how they were handling that. But
Yeah.
for right now, I have been Noctisera. With me has been Manatsu and our producer, Wookie Monster, dodging out every hurricane possible. Thank you all so much for watching. Tune in next week. We will have another Ruby match for you. But for now, I hope you have a great night. Thank you all for watching, and stay safe.
Peace.